Thank you. State.
Please support, Your Worship.
So just before we do proceed, the court is just going to remind every member of the gallery. I know it is stressful and it is difficult to breathe with this mask, but we will request that you have your mask covering your nose at all time as well. So everybody who is not adhering to such are welcome to leave. Thank you. State, if you are ready to proceed, it's your witness.
Please support, Your Worship. Mr. Venter, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, thank you. Just have to tell me if I'm not speaking loud enough because of the mask. Is it correct that you are employed with the South African Police Service?
That's correct.
That is correct.
Where are you currently stationed or based?
Ek is by die Presidential Protection Service
I
in
am with
Pretoria.
the Presidential Protection Service,
In Pretoria, hoofkantoor.
the
Just-
head office in Pretoria.
Just before we do proceed any further, I noticed that you are responding in Afrikaans after the question is being posed to you in English. Is that fine, sir? Do you understand the questions fully?
Ek verstaan.
I do understand.
We may then proceed in that fashion.
Thank you, Your Worship. You said in Pretoria head office.
Dis korrek.
That is correct.
What is your rank?
Ek bekleed die rang van luitenant-kolonel.
Sorry.
Luitenant-kolonel.
I'm a lieutenant colonel.
How long have you worked for the South African Police Service?
36 jaar.
It's 36 years service.
And how long have you worked for the Presidential Protection Service?
Afgelope 6 jaar, sedert 2014.
The past 6 years from 2014.
What are your duties at the Presidential Protection Service?
Ek is 'n beplanningsoffisier.
I am a planning officer.
Ons is verantwoordelik vir die beveiliging van die president,
We are attached, or we are responsible for the protection of the president,
deputy president,
the deputy president,
staatshoofde
the states, the head of states,
en voormalige staatshoofde
and former states, head of states,
en voormalige presidente van die land van die republiek.
as well as formerly or the previous the head of states of the republic.
Can you tell the court the date of the incident?
Dit was gewees die 14de April 2018.
It was the 14th April 2018.
Time of the incident, sir?
Was ongeveer 15:40.
It was approximately 15:40.
Just to confirm, the afternoon.
Die middag, dis korrek.
Yes, it's in the afternoon.
Where did the incident happen?
By Fourways Memorial begrafplaas,
Fourways Memorial Cemetery.
Can you tell the court what happened on 14 April 2018 at Fourways Memorial?
op die 14de April 2018
On the 14th April 2018,
om 5:30 die oggend
at 5:30 the morning,
het ons aan diens gerapporteer by die begrafplaas.
we reported for duty or work at the cemetery.
Ek was geklee in volle polisieuniform.
I was clad or wearing full police uniform.
Ek het ons eenheid se velddrag uniform gedra.
I was wearing the uniform of the uniform from our unit that we wear when we go out to do such duties.
Can
Your Worship, that's not good. It says that you wore the unit's field dress, or field uniform when you was there. That's the guard for those parts.
Pardon me, Your Worship.
Thank
Thank
you.
you for the correction.
Just before you do, state, you confirm?
yes, Your Worship.
Thank you. May it just be reinterpreted into correct?
Can I just get that on correction again?
Kan u dit miskien weer herhaal asseblief?
Ons velddrag, ons noem dit is die kamoufleerdrag van ons eenheid.
It is our field wear, or when we go out on the field, or our field wear when we go for the unit.
Can I then ask, what color is it?
Dit is kamoufleerdrag, dis nie velddrag nie, dis kamoufleerdrag.
Yes.
sorry, it's a camouflage.
Yes. Thank you. Continue.
Ons het parade gestaan waar ons nou daarvan af na ons onderskeie punte beweeg het.
We were parading, we were the parade whereby from there on we proceeded to our different points
Met die briefing die oggend
with a briefing on the said morning.
het ons die lede ingelig wat daar werksaam is.
We informed the members who were working there on the said day.
Wat is ons opdragte vir die dag?
We informed them as to our duties on that specific day.
Ek was verantwoordelik vir die buiteparameter.
I was responsible for the outside parameters.
Dit sluit in die hoofhek na die begrafplaas.
That include the main gate from of the cemetery,
En as ook die stopstraat onder by die begrafplaas.
as well as the street there by the stop sign there down that street of the cemetery.
Na die parade het ons na die parade het ons beweeg na ons onderskeie punte.
After the parade, we then moved to our respective positions.
Where was your position? Where
Ek
did you move
ek
to?
was verantwoordelik by die hoofingang van die begrafplaas. Die
I
hoofhek.
was placed at the main entrance there by the gate.
Gaan voort.
Ek was daar gepos saam met twee dames.
I was posted there as well as two other women or female.
Hulle was geklee gewees in volle polisieuniform, die veldrag, die blou veldrag van SABC.
They were wearing the full police uniform, the blue police uniform.
Dit was in die veldrag, hulle veldrag gehad.
They are field uniform, or they are full, the clothes they wear, the field clothing or the uniform of the SAPS.
Continue.
Gedurende die dag, ons was daar by die punt gewees.
During the day we were there at that specific point.
Ek het die dames weer ingelig, die twee konstabels.
I informed the ladies again, the two constables,
Wat is ons pligte vir die dag op 'n spesifieke punt?
what our duties were for the day at that specific point.
Ons het ons dienste begin daarso.
We started our duties there.
Gedurende die dag van die oggend af tot die middag toe,
During the day from the morning until the afternoon.
het ons so 3 voorvalle gehad.
We had 3 incidences.
Die eerste een was gewees vroegoggend.
The first one was early in the morning.
Is 'n dame wat daar aangekom het met 'n voertuig.
It's a lady that came there with a vehicle.
Sy het ons meegedeel, sy's van Engeland. Sy was in Suid-Afrika, sy bly nou in Engeland.
She informed us that she is from England. She did say that she did stay previously in South Africa, but she was coming from England.
Ja, sy bly tans in Engeland.
She's currently staying in England.
Sy wil graag haar ouers se graf besoek het.
She really wanted to visit the gravesite of her parents.
Ons het daar ingelig dat die hele area toegemaak is vir die begrafnis van mevrou Winnie Mandela.
We then informed her that the whole area is being barricaded for the funeral of the late Mrs. Winnie Mandela.
Sy wil graag met iemand gepraat het in beheer van die begrafplaas.
She really wanted to speak to someone who's in charge of the cemetery.
Ek het mevrou Erasmus wat by die administratiewe blok werk wat in beheer is van die begrafplaas gekontak.
I then contacted Mrs. Erasmus, who is working at the administrative block of the cemetery.
Sy het na die hek toe gekom en aan die persoon verduidelik wat is die omstandighede vir die dag.
She then came to the gate and explained to the lady as to what was happening on that specific day at the cemetery.
You said she, are you talking about Miss Erasmus?
Mevrou Erasmus, dis korrek, ja.
Yes, it's Mrs. Erasmus, that is correct.
Later die oggend
Later that morning,
het daar weer 'n voertuig gekom na die hek toe.
there's another vehicle that came again to the gates.
Is 'n bejaarde swart man gewees van Limpopo.
It's an aged or an older gentleman from Limpopo.
Hy wil ook graag sy familie se graf besoek het.
He also wanted to visit the gravesite of his family members.
Ek het ook weer aan hom verduidelik wat is die omstandighede.
I also explained to him what the circumstances were.
Weereens het hy gevra, hy wil met iemand praat van die, wat in beheer is van die begrafplaas.
Again, he also requested to speak to someone who was in charge of the cemetery.
Ek het weereens vir mevrou Erasmus gekontak,
I again contacted Mrs. Erasmus.
en sy het aan hulle verduidelik wat is die omstandighede.
She then explained to them what the situation was.
You said that Ms. Erasmus on the second time also explained to the second person the situation. Did she personally come to the first person you were talking about, the person from England and the person from Limpopo? Did she personally explain that to them?
Persoonlik mevrou Erasmus met 'n persoon van haar administratiewe mense.
Yes, it was personally Mrs. Erasmus as well as someone else from her administrative part section.
Continue, sir.
Die derde voorval was gewees SUV, is wat SUV,
The third incident was pertaining an SUV
met 'n voertuig wat hom gevolg het.
with another vehicle following the said SUV.
Hulle wou ook ingegaan het om na hulle geliefdes te gaan, na hulle geliefdes toe te gaan.
They also wanted to enter to go and visit their beloveds.
Ons het dieselfde gedoen, om hulle verduidelik.
We did the same and explained to them.
Mevrou Erasmus hulle het weer na die hek toe gekom en dan hulle verduidelik wat die omstandighede.
Mrs. Erasmus again came to the gate and explained to them what the circumstances were.
Later die middag,
Later the afternoon,
ek weet nie die presiese tyd nie,
I do not know the precise time or the exact time.
was daar twee dames wat daar by die hek aangekom het.
Two ladies then came to the gate.
Hulle het akkreditasie om hulle nek gehad.
They had accreditation around their necks.
Hulle het my meegedeel dat hulle kom van die stadium af.
They informed me that they were coming from the stadium.
Ek het hulle gesê die opdragte wat ons gekry het vanaf ons beplannings span af.
I told them or informed them about the instructions that we received from our planning committee or our planning team,
Dat niemand mag ingaan alvorens die familie nie daar is nie.
that no one was allowed to enter before the family could enter.
Die een dame was 'n blanke dame, die ander dame was 'n Indiër dame.
The one lady was a white lady and the other one was Indian.
Ek het aan hulle verduidelik wat is die omstandighede.
I explained to them what the situation was.
Die blanke dame het toe 'n oproep gemaak.
The white lady then made a phone call.
Sy het gepraat en sy het my gesê dat die persoon wil met my praat.
She spoke over the phone and then told me that that person would like to speak to me.
Ek het die foon geantwoord.
I then answered the phone.
Dit was sê Luitenant-Kolonel Venter. Good afternoon.
I answered in that manner saying I'm Colonel Venter, and as the witness is indicating in English, Your Worship,
Die persoon aan die ander kant van die foon
the person on the other side of the phone
het my gesê dit is Mandla Mandela.
informed me that it was Mandela.
Hy het my gevra wat is die probleem daar?
He then asked me what the problem was there.
Ek het hom meegedeel dat die opdragte wat ons gekry het van die beplanning self,
I then informed him of the instructions we had received from the planning committee
dat
or
geen
section, pardon me,
dat geen persoon die perseel mag betree alvorens die familie nie daar is nie.
that no person was allowed within the vicinity or to enter that premises before the family members could do so.
Meneer Mandla het vir my gesê dit is korrek,
Mr. Manda then told me that is correct,
dat hy weer met die dame wil praat.
that he would like to speak to the lady again.
You don't know what was said, is that correct?
Ekskuus tog?
You, Mr. Manda said he wanted to speak to the lady.
Dis korrek.
You don't know what was said, is that correct?
Dis korrek.
What happened afterwards, after the conversation?
Die dame het my om verskoning gevra om te sê dat dit is reg.
The lady then apologized to me and said it is okay or that it is right.
Hulle het af van die straat beweeg op die plek waar hulle by mekaar moet kom.
They then moved down to the street to where they were supposed to meet or assemble.
Goed, gaan voort.
Verder was daar
Proceed.
geen enige voorvalle gewees nie.
Further, there were no other instances.
Om ongeveer 15:30, 15:40
At approximately 15:30, 15:40,
ek kan nie presies sê die tyd nie, maar op daai stadium
I cannot just say the exact time, but around that stage or that time,
hierdie konvooi
there was a convoy
gelei deur die weermag motorfietsse
led by the army motor. Thank you, motor. Yes, Your Worship. Thank you.
gevolg
Continue.
deur die familie. Dit was eers die lijkswa gewees, dit is die lijkswa.
Followed by the family, but first it was the hearse.
Die lijkswa het aan die regterkant van die hek aan die buitekant parkeer.
The hearse then parked on the right-hand side, on the outside of the premises. It parked there.
En dit is gevolg deur die familie,
It was then followed by the family,
gevolg deur die president,
followed by the president,
die deputy president,
the deputy president,
head of states, staatshoofde,
head of states, as the witness indicated also in English,
voormalige staatshoofde
previous head of states,
en ministers voertuig.
and the minister's vehicles.
Continue.
Nadat die voertuie in beweeg het,
After the vehicles has drove in or moved in,
het 'n swart Vito bussie,
a swart,
swart Vito, 'n Mercedes voertuig,
a black Vito vehicle, a Mercedes-Benz,
het opgekom na die hek toe.
came to the gate or drove to the gate.
Ek het geen sigbare permit gesien nie, voertuigpermit.
I did not see any visible vehicle permit.
You said you did not see any visible sign of any accreditation. Where exactly?
Not what he said at the moment.
You said you saw no permit. No visible
vehicle permit.
permit. You saw no permit.
Okay, thank
Okay.
you. The
Where's-
question will then just be rephrased.
Yes, Your Worship.
Yes, there is no.
Thank you.
You
Thank
said you saw no visible permit.
Dis korrek.
Yes, that's correct.
Where is the permit kept?
Gewoonlik word die permit aan die linkerkant van die voertuig voor by die venster.
Normally, the permit is then placed on the left-hand side of the vehicle on the window.
What does this permit mean?
Daai permit, 'n voertuigpermit beteken
The vehicle permit means
vir toegang tot 'n perseel.
it gives you permission to enter the said premises.
What did you do afterward?
Ek het die voertuig gestop,
I stopped the vehicle.
ek het na die bestuurder se kant gegaan.
I went to the driver's side of the vehicle.
Die bestuurder het my gegroet.
The driver greeted me.
Good afternoon, Colonel.
As the witness is indicating in English, good afternoon, Colonel.
Did you recognize the driver?
Glad nie.
I did not.
Continue.
Die bestuurder het my meegedeel dat die EFF leier, naamlik meneer Julius Malema in die voertuig,
The driver informed me that the leader of the EFF, namely Mr. Malema, was inside the vehicle.
Continue.
ek het agter by die bestuurder gekyk, meneer Malema was agter in die voertuig.
I did look through to the back of the vehicle and I did see that Mr. Malema was inside the vehicle.
Ek het meneer Malema gegroet.
I greeted Mr. Malema.
Ek het die bestuurder of meneer Malema ingelig
I then informed Mr. Malema
dat die voertuig nie kan ingaan nie,
that the vehicle cannot enter,
maar dat hulle meer as welkom is om in te stap.
that they were more than welcome to walk inside.
Dit is nou saam met die ander mense, ander gaste en familielede.
That is along with the other people and other guests that were there.
Wat gearriveer het met 'n bus.
That, pardon me, that had arrived with a bus.
Continue.
Meneer Malema het gesê hy gaan nie inloop nie, hy gaan inry.
Mr. Malema said he will not walk in, he will drive in.
When Mr. Malema said that, was he still in the vehicle?
Dis korrek, hy was nog steeds in die voertuig.
That is correct, they were still inside the vehicle.
Who else did you see in the vehicle?
Op daai stadium was die bestuurder gewees,
At that stage, it was the driver
aan die passasierskant,
and one on the passenger side,
aan die voorkant.
the front of the vehicle
Is 'n man met dreadlocks.
was a gentleman with dreadlocks.
Is that all?
That's all, ja.
Continue, sir.
Meneer Malema het vir my gesê hy gaan nie inloop nie, hulle gaan inry.
Mr. Malema informed me that they will not walk in, they will drive in.
Hy het gesê ek moet eers toestemming kry by WOC. WOC staan vir Venue Operation Center.
He said they will first, can I ascertain your worship? Het hy gesê, gaan eers toestemming kry.
Ek het gesê ek gaan toestemming kry.
I said I will first get permission from
WOC.
VOG.
Can you just say again, VOC means?
Venue Operation Center.
When you said that you're going to get permission from the venue operation center, where were you standing at that moment?
Op daai stadium was ek nog aan die kant van die bestuurder.
At that stage, I was still on the side of the driver.
After you said that you were going to get permission from VOC, what happened next?
Ek het aan die voorkant van die voertuig beweeg.
I moved to the front part or side of the vehicle.
Ek het met my rug na die voertuig toe gestaan.
I was standing with my back towards the vehicle.
Continue.
Ek het WOC probeer kontak,
I tried to contact VOG,
want op daai stadium was die radio besig met al die voertuie wat ingekom het.
and at that stage, the radio was still busy with all the other vehicles that had entered.
What type of radio are you referring to, sir?
'n Twee-rigting radio.
That two-directional radio.
For clarity, is it the one that you keep in your hand?
Dis korrek.
Yes, that's correct.
Continue.
Terwyl ek voor die voertuig gestaan het,
Whilst I was standing in front of the vehicle,
ek was gestaan van die regterkant af,
I was standing from the right-hand side.
Oh,
It was gestamp.
gestamp.
Pardon me, Your Worship, the interpreter just didn't hear the witness correctly. I was then bumped from the right-hand side.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just for clarification, defense and state is happy with the interpretation by the interpreter.
Yes, Your
Subsequent to the
Yes,
interpretation
yes.
of the stamp.
Thank you.
The interpreter used the word bumped. Is that what happened?
Is gestamp, ja, pushed.
I was pushed.
I'm not sure if the magistrate saw your gesture that you just made with your hands when you said pushed.
Ek was pushed. Ja, ek was gestoot, ja, gestamp.
I was pushed.
Thank you. For record purpose, the court have observed that the witness before court have put his two hands in front of his body and indicated in the motion with his hands forward, indicating that he was pushed. Is the observation of the court correct? State and defense?
Indeed, Your Worship, confirmed.
Thank you. We may proceed.
Continue, sir.
Ek is gestamp van die regterkant af. Ek kan
I
nie
was
sê
pushed from the right hand side.
ek kan nie sê wie my gestamp het nie.
I cannot say who had pushed me.
En soos ek gedraai het en ek terugkyk binne in die voertuig toe,
As I turned around and looked back inside that vehicle,
ek het meneer Malema uit die voertuig sien kom.
can you repeat it? Can you hear it obviously?
Ek het meneer Malema
I then saw Mr. Malema
uit die voertuig uitspring.
jumping out of the vehicle.
Continue.
Waarop meneer Malema gesê het, no white man will stop me.
Whereupon Mr. Malema said, no white man will stop me.
Terwyl ek nog voor by die voertuig was,
Whilst I was still at the front of the vehicle,
ek was gestoot, gestamp
I was pushed
na die linkerkant van die voertuig.
towards the left of the vehicle.
Dis korrek.
Do you know who pushed you the second time that you're talking about?
Op daai stadium was ek kan nie sien van agter my nie, ek kon nie sien nie.
At that stage, I could not see from from my back. I did not see who it was.
Continue.
Ek het terugbeweeg na die voorkant van die voertuig.
I moved back to the front part of the vehicle,
Waar gestamp is deur meneer Malema en Dr. Ndlozi.
where I was then pushed by Mr. Malema as well as Dr. Ndlozi.
Can you point them out to the court, please?
Beskuldige nommer 1 en beskuldige nommer 2.
Thank you.
Accused number 1 and accused number 2.
Thank you. The court have observed that the witness before court have pointed to accused number 1 and accused number 2 as the persons who have pushed him. So, in fact, you have pointed to Mr. Malema and Mr. Ndlozi in this regard. Is the observation by the court correct? State.
From Your Worship.
Mr. Otis? Thank you.
Continue, sir.
Terwyl ek voor die voertuig gestaan het,
Whilst I was still standing in the front of the vehicle,
nadat ek gestamp is deur meneer Malema en Dr. Ndlozi,
after I was pushed by Mr. Malema and Dr. Ndlozi,
het ek gesien hoe kom meneer Malema en Dr. Ndlozi vir die tweede keer.
I then saw how Mr. Malema and Ndlozi were coming towards me for the second time.
Wat ek gesien het, is korrek.
That is what I saw, correct?
Continue.
Ja, met hulle wat hulle my gestamp het met hulle hande terug, nie stoot nie. Dit was 'n harde stamp met alles wat terug is wat vorentoe uitgestamp het.
With
Uitgestoot.
their hands pulled backwards with a gesture the witness is making, and they shoved or they pushed very hard at me.
Court have observed that the witness have made a gesture with his hands again, pushing forward and trying to explain how he was pushed hard by the accused. Observation by the court correct? State and defense?
Indeed, so, Your Worship.
So I never saw it, because the witness didn't show us again. I was busy writing.
Thank you. If you can just repeat your gesture which you made with your hands.
Wanneer ek terug was en vorentoe gestoot het.
Their hands were pulled backwards and they were pushing their hands or pulling their hands towards the front.
Thank you. State, you may proceed.
Thank you, Your Worship. How many times were you pushed by accused 1 and 2?
Wat ek van weet, dit is moeilik om te sê want my rug was na hulle toe gewees op 'n stadium.
Yes.
What I know, pardon me, what I know, it will be hard to indicate because at some stage my back was towards them. And
Continue.
Met die tweede stamp wat ek gesien het, is ek so hard gestamp ek het my balans verloor.
And the second push I saw, they pushed me so hard that I lost my balance.
Continue.
Ek is gestamp en die skuldwaghuisie wat daar was by die hek, die huisie vir die wagte van die begrafplaas. Ek is tot teen hom vasgestamp.
I was pushed so hard that the guardhouse there at the cemetery, by the gate of the cemetery, that I fell against it. Is that correct?
Dis korrek.
That is correct, Your Worship, as per the witness indication.
What happened next?
Op daai stadium het generaal Zulu
At that stage, General Zulu
het nader gekom na my toe
came closer to me
en sy het net vir my gesê, leave.
and just said to me, leave, leave.
I'm just going to go back. The first time you said that you were pushed, you could not see. When you were pushed, did you do something afterwards?
Ek het niks gedoen nie.
I did nothing.
When you were pushed the second time, and you can now identify it's accused 1 and 2, what did you do after they pushed you?
Die eerste keer wat my gestoot het,
The first time when they pushed me,
ek het terug beweeg na die middel van die voertuig
I moved back to the middle of the vehicle.
en toe word ek vir die tweede keer weer gestamp.
I was then pushed again for the second time.
Did you do anything?
Ek het op geen stadium niks gedoen nie.
At no stage did I do anything.
Continue, sir.
Daar stadium het die voertuig het toe inbeweeg.
At some stage the vehicle then drove in.
Meneer Malema, Dr. Ndlozi is terug in die voertuig
Mr. Malema and Dr. Ndlozi then got back inside the vehicle
en hulle het ingery in die begrafplaas in.
and they drove inside the cemetery.
Who gave permission for this vehicle to drive in the cemetery?
Ek het geen idee wie toestemming gegee nie, nie ek of generaal Zulu toestemming gegee nie.
I have no idea who gave permission, not myself as well as General Zulu gave permission.
On this specific day, on the 14th of April 2018, you testified that you were on duty, is that correct?
Dis korrek.
That is correct.
Was there anyone of your colleagues that assisted you in performing your duties at the gate?
Daar was net twee dames gewees van PSS, Protection Security Service,
Thank you. There was just two other ladies from PSS Protection
Security Service.
Security Service.
Were you the senior or supervisor?
Ek was die senior, dis korrek.
I was the senior, that's correct.
So your duties was access control.
Dis korrek.
That is correct.
Any one of your, you mentioned General Zulu and said General Zulu said you must leave. Is General Zulu your superior?
Generaal Zulu is my senior.
General Zulu is my senior.
Sy werk in 'n ander afdeling van die SABC.
He or she works at a different department of the SAPS.
At the time that you saw the black vehicle approaching the gate, where was General Zulu?
Ek kan nie op daai stadium antwoord nie. Ek het dan nie gesien na agter my nie.
I cannot answer about that stage because I did not see General Zulu behind me.
General Zulu said that you must leave. When General Zulu said that, where was she?
Sy het reg langs my gestaan.
She was standing right next to me.
The vehicle that the accused was driving. When the vehicle entered, where were you standing exactly, sir?
Toe die voertuig ingekom het.
Yes.
When the vehicle was coming in.
Toe ingekom het van die begin af.
After the assault.
When it came in at the beginning or at the entrance, at the beginning.
When the vehicle entered, after they pushed you, General Zulu was standing next to you and said, leave.
That is correct.
Ek het gestaan reg langs by die skilweg, hy sê.
I was standing right next to the guardhouse.
What happened to the vehicle?
Die vehikel het ingery,
The vehicle drove in,
hy het gestop.
stopped.
Dr. Ndlozi was nog besig om met van die mense, die generale van die weermag wat daar gestaan het.
Dr. Ndlozi was busy there with those members of the army. They were standing there,
Die generale staf,
the general staff,
waarna Dr. Ndlozi ombeweeg het om die voertuig.
whereupon Dr. Ndlozi came around the vehicle.
Hy het ingeklim en die voertuig het ingery.
He got inside the vehicle and the vehicle drove in.
You said earlier you did not give permission for the vehicle to move in, is that correct?
Kan ek die vraag herhaal?
Can you repeat the question?
You said earlier you did not give permission for the vehicle to move in the cemetery, is that correct?
Only?
You did not give permission
Of geen stadium
for
met
the...
geen stadium met permissie toestemming gegee nie.
At no stage did I give permission.
Did anyone from the military or even General Zulu or from the police, did anyone else give permission for the vehicle to enter?
Sover my kennis strek, nie ek of generaal Zulu het enige toestemming gegee nie.
As far as my knowledge goes, not myself or General Zulu gave permission.
You said there were two ladies that was with you.
Dis korrek.
Do you know, if it's in your knowledge, do you know if they perhaps gave permission?
Geen stadium nie, glad
At
nie.
no stage, not at all.
So why did you stop this vehicle?
Die voertuig is gestop,
The vehicle was stopped.
maar die hele konvooi was al reeds binne in die perseel.
Reason being the whole convoy was already inside the premises.
Die voertuig het agterna gekom.
The vehicle came afterwards.
Daar was geen escort geweest saam met hom nie.
There was no escort with the said vehicle.
If you say escort, what do you mean, sir?
Gewoonlik met dit, as ons nou kyk net konvooi toe ingekom het, was hy begelei geweest deur die weermag se motorfietser.
Normally, when the convoy came in, it was led by the motorcade of the military.
En voor die motorfietser sal verkeer wees.
And in front of the military motorcade, there will be the traffic officials or vehicles.
En agter die konvooi sal daar ook verkeer wees.
As well as at the back or behind the convoy, there will also be traffic officials driving.
So there was, when the accused vehicle came, there was no military escorting this vehicle.
Dis korrek.
That is correct.
What was your instructions with regards to, on this specific day, who may enter the cemetery?
Die opdrag wat ons gekry het van Luitenant-Kolonel Matong,
The instruction we got from
Luitenant-Kolonel
Lieutenant Colonel
Matong,
Motaung.
What was the
was
instructions?
slegs die familie, onmiddellike familie,
It was just for the immediate family
en die president.
and the president.
Okay. And the rest of the people that wanted to enter the cemetery, what was the arrangement?
Wat hulle vir ons ingelig het was dat die res van die mense
What we were informed was that the rest of the people
sal by die stadion bly.
will remain at the stadium.
Daar is groot screens opgesit
There were big screens placed there or erected there
om die begrafnis op skerm vas te sien, of vas te lê.
to televise the proceedings or the funeral proceedings.
How was the parking arrangement on the 14th of April 2018?
Ek was werksaam geweest by die hoofhek.
I was working or I was stationed at the main gate,
Maar op die vorige dag, die Vrydag,
but the previous day being the Friday,
die 13de
the 13th
April 2018,
April 2018,
was daar 'n draairun gewees.
there was a dry run.
Can you just explain for the court purposes the dry run, please?
Dit is wat ons nou die hele die roete gaan volg van hoe die proses gaan loop.
That is now how we will follow the whole route as to how the process will unfold.
Continue.
Die laaste wat ek gehoor het op die 13de,
The last of what I heard, or about what I heard on the 13th,
was daar 'n spesifieke area geïdentifiseer vir die familie.
there was a specific area allocated for the family,
En ons ook parkering vir die president.
as well as parking for the president.
And where was this parking for the family and the president?
Binne in die perseel van die begrafplaas.
Inside the premises of the cemetery.
The rest of the vehicles or the people that were allowed to access the cemetery, where, if they come with their vehicle, where are they supposed to park?
Daar is 'n area geïdentifiseer op die perseel.
There was an area identified on the premises.
Dit was ongeveer so 35 meter
It was so approximately 35 meters
van die VIP kan ek sê markie tent.
from the VIP marquee or tent.
Who will have access to the VIP marquee tent? Who is allowed in?
Die lede mense wat aangekom het, wat toestemming het, wat akkreditasie het en wat met hulle privaat voertuie ry.
People that entered that had permission, that had accreditation, and those that had came in with their accredited vehicles.
Privaat
Private vehicles, thank you.
Okay, so explain this to me with regard to the VIP. Is this inside the cemetery or outside? Just for clarity.
Die parkering is binne in die perseel.
It's
The
inside
parking was inside the premises.
this specific vehicle. Where was this vehicle supposed to park on this specific day, the 14th of April 2018?
As ons kyk na die kaart van die begrafplaas,
We looked at the part of the vicinity or the place, the cemetery.
There's the one that
No.
shows map when it says child.
Beg your pardon?
It's a map.
Map, not code.
Okay. State.
This is the court. So I'm going to show you a map. My colleagues do have a copy of the map.
We confirm that we received two maps last week.
Is there any objections with regards to such?
I'm going
As
to
well
hand.
as to the content of the said
We don't know what he's going to
Documents?
say, but we just received it and I believe it will assist all of us to understand the evidence. I don't know the accuracy, but perhaps I can authenticate and prove it, but we do have it.
Please the court, Your Worship.
Thank you, State. You may proceed.
Please the court. The court can just give me a second. Before I hand up the map, Your Worship, my Mr. Baba, my senior just wants to make copies, Your Worship, for the court as well, Your Worship.
Thank you.
While we are waiting, sir, just clarify for me, please, for the court. Was there allocated parking for the family and the president?
dis the correk, ja.
That's correct, yeah.
Was there allocated parking for VIPs?
Die parkering vir die VIP's, dit is nou die gaste, die familie wat genooi is
Da-
deur die Mandela familie.
Kan u weer herhalen van ons net kort cinema persoon?
Just repeat for the VIPs, please. Just repeat for us, sir.
Die parkering is gemaak, die VIP parkering is gemaak vir die gaste,
The VIP parking was for the guests.
vir die gaste van die Mandela familie,
The guests of the Mandela family
wat met hulle privaat voertuie
who were entering with their private vehicles.
You call these people the VIPs. Were they allowed to enter the cemetery or park where the president is parking?
glad nie.
Not at all.
This specific vehicle that the accused were in, you said that you were on your two-way radio trying to talk to VOC. Who is VOC?
WOC is die Venue Operations Center.
VOC is the Venue Operations Center.
Who is in charge? Or who is the supervisor or senior for the VOC?
Op daai stadium was dit Luitenant-Generaal Sam Shitlabane.
At that stage, it was Lieutenant General
Sam
Sam
Shitlabane.
Sitlabane.
And where was this VOC on the day of the funeral?
Op die kaart sal ons sien
On the map, you would see
waar die bok geleë is.
where
Waar
VOC was.
Your Worship, I'm going to keep it. May I hand the map, Your Worship,
You
to the
may.
court? Can you explain, sir, and just these two maps? Can you show us which map you are referring to?
Okay, ek sou die een met die aanwysings.
I'm holding the one with the indications there on it, or markings.
Where did the president and the immediate family park?
As ons kyk na die rooi lyn,
If we look at the right, red line,
op die einde van die lyn,
at the end of that line,
aan die regterkant sal daar staan Mandela Family Parking.
on the right-hand side, it will be indicated, as the witness is indicating Mandela Family Parking.
Then I also see, while we're talking about the VIP, I also see on the map it says VIP/tent, guest tent.
Dis korrek.
Can you,
That's correct.
can you explain that point for us?
Ek kan net praat oor die 13de toe ons die draailyn gedoen het. Dit is
I
hoe
can only indicate about on the 13th, when we did the dry run.
so op die 14de was ek werksaam by die hoofhek.
So on the 14th, I was stationed or working at the main gate.
So as daar enigiets verander het,
So if anything was changed,
ek is ek nie ingelig daaroor nie.
I was not informed about it.
Then I also see on the map it says VIP/guest private vehicle parking.
Dis korrek.
Can you,
That's correct.
can you explain that?
Dit is nou die gaste wat inkom,
Those were the guests that were entering,
van wat gekom het van die stadium af met 'n privaat voertuie.
that were coming from the stadium with private vehicles.
Dit was hulle parkering gewees.
That was their parking.
On the map, the accuser's vehicle. Where was the vehicle supposed to park, sir?
By die plek VIP/guest private vehicle parking.
At the VIP/guest/private vehicle parking.
Why?
Omdat die voertuig nie deel van die konvooi was nie.
Because that vehicle was not part of the convoy.
The accused before court. If I understand you correctly, everyone that enters the cemetery had to have a permit.
Dis korrek.
That's correct.
Did the accused before court have a permit?
Got personal permit, a permit around their neck, yes.
And on the day of the 14th of April 20, you saw the permit around both of you.
Dis korrek.
That's correct.
So the accused is, if I understand correctly, is allowed to enter the cemetery.
Dis korrek.
The vehicle that the accused was driving, did that vehicle have a permit?
Ek het nie 'n sigbare permit gesien nie,
I did not see a visible permit.
maar al het hy 'n permit gehad, sou ek hom nog steeds gestop het.
Even though it had a permit, I would have still stopped it.
And what he said is, even if it did have, I would have stopped.
That is correct.
Correct. Why, sir?
Omdat die voertuig nie deel van die konvooi was nie. Die konvooi was klaar binne gewees.
Because it was not part of the convoy and the convoy was already inside.
On this specific day, what was the procedure you had to follow? If there is a vehicle that wanted to enter the cemetery, as the accused's vehicle wanted to enter, what was the process that you had to follow, the procedure, sir?
Die prosedure is, jy stop die voertuig.
Die procedure herhaal je.
Die prosedure is, jy stop die voertuig.
The procedure is that you stop the vehicle,
Jy vind uit wie is in die voertuig.
you inquire or you try and see who is inside the vehicle,
En dan kontak jy Bok.
and you would contact Bob,
Die persoon wat agter die radio is in Bok,
the person who's behind the radio at Bob,
sal dan die senior persoon in Bok dan toestemming vra of hoor mag die voertuig inkom of nie.
will then ask the senior person at Bob if the vehicle is allowed to enter or not.
And like you testified previously, you wanted to call the Bok.
Dis korrek.
That is correct.
And were you able to follow out this procedure that you just explained?
Dat kon nie.
I could not.
So the accuser's vehicle, there was parking for the vehicle.
Dis korrek.
That is correct.
As you pointed out, at the VIP stroke guest private vehicle parking.
Dis korrek.
That is correct.
Court, can you begin speaking to the court?
Yes, you may.
So was there any, you were on duty for access control at the gate. Was there any documentations or a list given as to which vehicle should enter the cemetery?
Not at all.
Was there any special arrangements made for the accuser's vehicle on that day?
Glad nie.
Not at all.
This parking that you refer to on the map, the VIP stroke guest private parking, that was for VIPs? For
Dit is
VIP parking?
dit is VIP's vir die familie.
Yes.
Dis vir die familie se gaste.
That is VIP, but it's for the guests of the family,
So dit kan direkte familie wees
so they can be the direct family
of vriende.
or friends.
And the parking for the president, the immediate family, what were they parking for?
Kan jy die vraag herhaal?
What were they parking for?
Can you repeat the question?
Is you said the parking for the family, direct family, guest of the family is VIP. Is that correct?
Dis korrek.
That's correct.
What is the parking for the president?
Die parkering, as ons kyk op die map, is dit vir die Mandela familie waar hulle voertuie vir die konvooi gekom het, die voertuie agter die lijkswagen. Dis hulle parkering.
If we look at the map, the parking there was for the Mandela family, where they had parked when they came in with a convoy as well as, and die laaste stuk herhaal, asseblief, as jy ook herhaal.
Dit was vir die van Mandela familie gewees, ja.
It was for the Mandela family.
En as ons nou kyk op die kaart,
If we look at the map,
presidential convoy parking,
Yes.
dit is langs die kant af, is 'n nou paadjie daar, waar daar
it is down the road there, it's a very narrow pathway.
So,
Maar ik wil ook zeggen, zoals ik zei, dit was die 13e, dit was die briefing gedoen het.
the dry run.
Die draaien gedoen het.
That was on the 13th when we did the dry run.
Bishop, I apologize. He said if you look at the map, the very narrow path, I don't see any indication anywhere here of where the actual presidential convoy parking is. It doesn't appear from the map. If we just clarify it.
Thank you.
Because he looked at the map, it didn't show us. I don't know if there was a mistake.
Can you
I
show
think the
us?
state will then address this issue and as well as yourself. Thank you. You may proceed, state.
Can you show us on your map?
Daar
Can you
was
just turn it to outside as well so that we can see where you're pointing? Thank you.
nou staan presidential convoy.
There where it states presidential convoy parking,
Die blou streep,
the blue line
so net bokant hom.
on top of it,
Dis 'n klein grondpaadjie.
it's a very small pathway.
Just mark it. Just give him a pen.
There's a area with the maps. I don't have anything that says presidential convoy parking. Maybe it was cut off. It's a different version. That's different versions.
Just
Yeah.
one moment.
We have a different version. That's the confusion. Your Worship.
Mine
We
is-
will swap during the time. I understand now, but mine didn't say presidential.
Your Worship, I can just a small Jimmy so that I can just make copies for my colleague. Your Worship, my colleague Danny did have a different version. Your Worship.
Okay, you may do so. Just with regards then to the different version, is there any problems with regards to the said thing,
Your Worship.
or will your consent still remain the same with regards to the document?
Your Worship, it's just a matter of record. We were given this last week Friday, and it's a different version to theirs. I'll deal with it in cross-examination, but I have no objection to them utilising their version, my version, or both versions.
Both
I want to
versions.
make progress in the matter.
And then as well with regards to the content of these pictures.
Well, it's his, I don't know those positions. It's his evidence, and I'll cross-examine him on it.
On
Your
it.
Worship. Thank you.
Thank you. State, you are allowed to do so.
So
Ju-
can you
just-
continue, Mr. Oda?
Just before we do, the court have requested you to mark the said space on yours?
Yes, I did.
May it just be passed so that the court may view? Closer. Thank you. It must be shown to the prosecutor as well as to Mr. Otis.
Thank you, Your Worship.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. You may proceed.
The parking that you indicated now, for record again, can you please repeat what you said? This parking is for who?
Die parkering was gewees vir die konvooi van
The
die president.
parking was for the convoy as well as
Dit was parkering vir die president.
for the president.
Then I see on the map, it also says Mandela family parking.
Dis korrek.
That's correct.
Is this where the family of the Mandela family that gained entry, is that where they're supposed to park?
Op die 13e in die draairin
On the 13th, during the dry run,
is dit vir ons gesê dis waar die voertuie gaan parkeer van die Mandela familie.
we were informed that is where the vehicles of the Mandela family would be parking.
On this specific day, how did you, sir, identify which cars had permits to enter the cemetery?
Soos ek vroeër gesê het, is die stoet het ingekom
As I said previously, when Tudi,
die konvooi
the
van die
convoy
Lijkswaal.
entered,
Dit was die Lijkswaal,
it was the hearse,
volg die familie van die Mandela familie.
followed by the convoy of the Mandela family,
Die president van de Republiek van Suid-Afrika,
the President of the Republic of South Africa,
gevolgd deur die deputy president,
followed by the Deputy President,
gevolgd deur head of state,
followed by, as the witness is indicating in English, Head of State.
op hulle voertuie aan die linkerkant links voor was daar voertuigpermitte.
On their vehicles, left in the front part of it, there was permits placed there.
And on the date of the incident, the accuser's vehicle, I ask you again, did it have a permit?
Ek het geen sakbare permitte sien.
I did not see any visible permit.
Sir, I am going to play a video footage for you of the incident that happened 14 April 2018. My colleague can address whether you have any objection, Your Worship.
Thank you. Mr. Ouders?
Your Worship, similar to the map, we received a video, we requested more video footage, it's a matter of record. They were unable to supply us with further video footage. We specifically requested and telephoned the person that was meant to be in charge of the videos, said that he had nothing. Mysteriously on Friday they came with a fuller version of the video. This will be something that will also have to be cross-examined, Your Worship, but I have no objection to the video being played to Your Worship, and I've made it clear to my learned friend. I believe it's in the interest of justice and will assist all sides of this video, Your Worship. It's what we had originally requested but were told didn't exist. I have the different versions available and the dates on which we received them to show Your Worship as well.
Thank you. This will also would be regards to the content of the video. No
Yeah, that will be the subject, not only the contents, Your Worship, as to what happened to it or who stored it and looked after it, because it doesn't appear from anywhere. But we resolved that in the process of the trial, Your Worship. But I have no objection, and I repeat it again, I made it clear to my learned friends, for the fuller version of the video, I would ask that the fuller version of the video be played, Your Worship, in the interest of justice.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Worship.
Sir?
Before we play the video, sir, I asked you previously when the accuser's pushing you, did you do anything? I'm just going to clarify, did you provoke the accuser at any stage?
Op geen stadium nie.
At no stage.
The driver perhaps?
Geen stadium nie.
No stage.
Your Worship, I'll also short adjournment, Your Worship, just to set up, Your Worship, the video footage, Your Worship. It's going to be played on this TV, Your Worship.
One moment. Thank you, Mr. Johanna Shakul Venter. You're still under oath. You are not allowed to discuss your evidence with anyone. You understand?
Wat aan die wagpaal.
Thank you. Court will have adjournment. The court will request that as soon as the state is ready to proceed with the matter, the court must just be called or given an indication to come back to court.
Please
Court
support, Your
adjourned.
Worship.
All right.
I will. Just for the benefit of my colleague, just make your answer short. Don't go wrong. Yeah, you have to make sense.
Now, and is it in your knowledge? What was the function, what was the duties of the military police?
Vir die militêre polisie en vir die weermag wat daar was, hulle was verantwoordelik. As mens kyk na die video,
They were responsible for, if we look at the footage,
hulle het die erewag gevorm
they were forming the guard of honor.
en as mens nou kyk ook die weermag voertuig met die kanon wat op die kus was.
If we look at the military vehicle as well as the cannons, the vehicle where pardon me, Your Worship, can I get assistance in that regard?
Can you
Where the
just-
casket was placed. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. With regard to the map that you showed us where the parking was allocated, do you know where this copy come from? Where does this map, the picture come from?
Die kopie, die oorspronklik het ek self gemaak
The original I made myself.
en ek het dit gegee vir Ritter en Spies prokureurs.
I gave it to the
Ritter en Spies.
Litter and Peace attorneys
Why did you give it to them?
Omdat Ritter en Spies my verteenwoordig in die saak.
because Litter and Peace were defending me in the matter. Or representing me in the matter.
And is it in your knowledge? If it's not, I understand. Do you know if the attorneys gave it to any one of the investigating officers? If it's in your knowledge, sir.
Ek het nie kennis nie.
Okay.
I do not have knowledge of that.
We're going to play the footage for you. The date, do you see the date? Can you tell the court the date on the video footage, sir?
Dit lyk soos 4/14/2018.
It looks like 4/14/2018.
Time? Just pause. Time, sir?
Dit is 'n bietjie ver van my so te kan sien.
It is a bit further, so I can't see properly.
Can you-
It's not in dispute. I don't have a problem. Be put chairman present. I don't have any.
Thank you, Worship. I was going to ask
Can also see the same time.
can the court also see? It's at the moment 15:45, 37 seconds. Okay?
I confirm that for the record.
Thank you, Mr.
Just asking to play back. Did you have a copy of this video footage in your possession?
Dis korrek.
That is correct.
Where did you get it from, sir?
Van kolonel Bronkhorst.
From Colonel Bronkhorst.
Do you remember the date you got it from?
Dit was seker 'n week, 2 weke na die voorval.
It was maybe a week or two after the incident.
Why did you want a copy of the video footage, sir?
Om myself te vergewis wat het daar gebeur.
To align myself with what had happened there.
What did you want to do with the video footage?
Dis vir myself om te kan kyk wat het gebeur daai dag.
It was for myself to see what had happened or what happened on that specific day.
Okay. Can you play the video footage? Okay. There's a white car entering. Who is entering the cemetery, sir?
Daai voertuie,
Those vehicles,
dit is nie mense wat gevolg het, dit is nie head of states.
those were the people that were following, those were the head of states.
So hulle is direk agter die president en die adjunkt-president.
So they are directly behind the president as well as the deputy president.
We see there's a line here.
Dis hy ja.
Yes.
Where were you performing your duties specifically?
Ek was net aan die linkerkant van hom.
I was just on the left side of it.
Was these cars allowed to enter?
Dis korrek.
That is correct.
Did these cars have any permits?
Dis korrek.
Vehicle
correct.
permits?
Vehicle permits ja.
Vehicle permit.
On the video, I'm just asking Mr. Baba to pause. On the video footage, there is a car standing at the moment. Did you know why the car is not moving?
Dis omrede die voertuig, die voorste voertuig aangekom het. Dit is nou die stoet, die Mandela familie, die president, die president. Dis 'n enkel lyn.
It's because the other cars that had entered the convoy, it is the family, the Mandela family, the president as well as the deputy president.
So ek glo hulle op voor het hulle op een gehoop.
And they were traveling in one lane.
Ja, en die voertuig het opgehoop aan die voorkant.
Oh, and the other vehicles had stopped there in the front.
Sodat die persone
You said in Afrikaans opgehoop.
ja, dat voertuie was agter mekaar te mekaar gewees.
They were backed up one after the other.
Thank you.
En die passasiers om uit te klim.
So that the passengers can alight.
Okay. This car that's entering, do you know this vehicle?
Dis 'n ministersvoertuig wat daar aangekom het.
Hey?
It is a minister's vehicle that is entering there.
Does the vehicle have permit to enter?
Hy toestemming inkom, dis korrek.
Yes, it entered through permission. It had permission.
Permit.
Permit, dis korrek.
Permit.
This is still part of the convoy.
Dis 'n deel van die konvoi, dis korrek.
Yes, that is part of the convoy.
Dit is die volgmotor van die minister.
That is the vehicle of the following one is the minister's vehicle.
It's a following vehicle of the ministry.
Sorry?
It's a following vehicle.
Thank
Follows the
you.
country.
Thank you, Mr. Otis. Just don't play. Don't play. I see the vehicles are also not moving very slightly. Do you know what's happening?
Dis nog steeds die opeenhoping van die voertuie.
It's still those ones that are backed up one after the other. The vehicles there.
Can you tell the court the time? Oh, sorry, you can't see, Your Worship. I'll just tell the court the time, Your Worship. It's 15:47 and 18 seconds, 19. You previously, just for clarity as well, you previously testified about the Guard of Honor that I was asking about the military.
Hierdie lede is die generale staf van hulle is van die generale staf.
Those members, some of them were from the general staff.
Dit is die mense wat langs die kus geloop het.
Those were the people that were walking next to the casket.
Can you tell the court as where you are standing now at this moment?
Ek staan nog steeds aan die linkerkant.
I'm still standing on the left-hand side.
Can you pause, Mr. Baba? Can you tell the court who is this?
Daai persoon, dit is ek.
That is myself. That person is myself.
Do you perhaps know who this person is?
Op daai stadium het ek nie geweet nie.
At that stage, I did not know.
Stop, Mr. Baba. You testified that you stopped the vehicle, you approached the driver, is that correct?
Dis korrek.
That is correct.
Do you recognize this person?
Ek herken hom.
I do recognize that
Who is he?
person.
Dis meneer Malema.
That is Mr. Malema.
Do you recognize this person, sir?
Die dame daarvoor.
Yes.
The lady there in front.
Dis die dame wat aan my gewerk het daar, konstabel.
It's the lady that was working there with me, it's a constable.
You mentioned previously in your testimony 2 ladies
Dis
that
korrek.
assisted you. It's one of them.
Dis een van hulle.
It's one of them.
Continue, Mr. Bama. Stop. This person.
Dr. Ndlozi.
Continue. What was said to you, sir?
Kan jy dit herhaal?
Can you repeat?
Sorry, what was said to you?
Op daai stadium,
What did the accused say to you?
daar's 'n praat, ek kan nie onthou wat hulle gesê het nie.
I cannot remember what they said at that stage.
Where is General Zulu? Go back.
Kan jy net weer 'n bietjie terugspeel asseblief?
Can you just play back, please, a little bit?
Kan jy
Pause
stop?
quickly.
Stop.
Daar aan die agterkant, deel agter,
There, the back, you go completely at the back, towards the back,
met die donkerblou.
with the dark blue,
Ja, dit lyk soos sy.
looks like her.
Who's?
Generaal Zulu. Dit is generaal Zulu.
It is General Zulu.
Why was she on that side? I can see she's more inside the cemetery. Where is she coming from?
Dis waar die guard of honor gestaan het
That's where the guard of honor was standing.
en dis waar die konvooi in beweeg het. So sy was daar op en af by die voertuie.
That's where the convoy moved in. So she was there up and down there amongst those vehicles.
So if I understand you correctly, your testimony, you had 2 assistants, that lady that helped you, that assisted you on that day, but you were in charge of the access control at the gate.
Dis korrek.
That is correct.
The military that was standing there was not in charge.
Glad nie.
Not at all.
I'll just ask you to play back again. Completely. Just a bit more. Just a bit. There we go. Just stop, please. You said that, I'm going to ask you to take us step by step. You said that you stopped the vehicle and you were standing in front of the vehicle.
Dis korrek.
That is correct.
At one point, you moved to the driver's side to discuss certain issues with him
Dis korrek.
That is correct.
with regards to the permit
Dis korrek.
and the
That is
vehicle
correct.
and the vehicle
Nie
entry.
vir die permitte nie.
Not
Okay.
about the permits.
What were you saying to the driver?
Vir die bestuurder, hy het my meegedeel
The driver informed me
dat die leier van die EFF, Mr. Julius Malema, is in die voertuig.
that the leader of the EFF, Mr. Julius Malema, was inside the vehicle.
In front of this side, we can't really see what happened. Okay? So where exactly were you standing?
Nadat ek met hulle gepraat het
After I spoke to them,
en meneer Malema gesê het hy loop nie in, hy gaan inry,
and Mr. Malema said he will not walk inside, he will drive in,
het ek aan die voorkant van die voertuig gaan staan.
I went and stood in the front of the vehicle.
Just a little bit back, Mr. Baba. Small bit.
Just before you play, just give us time to also note down the evidence and then the video can play so that you have that video to show. Yeah.
Can I continue? The time at this stage, you can't see that far. It is 15:49:03 seconds. Okay? I'm not sure if you can see, sir. There's a boot here.
That's correct.
That's correct.
Who does it belong to?
Dis my voet.
That's my foot.
Okay. Continue, Mr. Baba. Pause. It seems that you are moving to the side and then you go back to next side.
Dis korrek. Ek is eers van soos ek dit wil leef, ek is na die regterkant toe. Dus ek terug na die linkerkant toe, regterkant toe.
As I said, I was first on towards at the right hand side and then sharp to the left.
Dis korrek.
Stop. At this time, do you know who is pushing you now?
Nee, daai stadium nie glad nie.
Not at that stage, not at all.
Stop. You are now on a side where we cannot see anything. What was happening on that side?
Ek is daai kant af is ek ook gestamp, gestoot.
On that side as well, I was also pushed.
Do you know who pushed you at that time?
My rug was na hulle toe gewees. Ek kan nie sê nie. As ek kyk na die footage kyk, dan kan ek sê wie dit is.
My back was towards them, so I cannot say. So if I can look at the footage, I will be able to.
But I'm asking now. We cannot see because it's a blind spot. That moment there, you are now pushed to the side of the vehicle. Do you know who pushed you at that moment there?
Ek kan nie sê nie.
I cannot say.
Just before we do proceed, the gentleman at the back, the mask must be on face always. And the person right at the back with the cell phone that is taking pictures, no flashes is allowed before it is disturbing. So the next person's flash that go off, the court will kindly request that that person be removed from the court. It is disturbing, we are proceed with the evidence. The person at the back, the mask must be over your nose as well. Thank you. Sorry for the interruption. Straight in the face. Thank you, my proceed.
You said you did not see who pushed you.
Dis korrek.
That is correct.
Continue, Mr. Baba. Stop there. You're being pushed again. Did you see who pushed you?
Ek het gesien ja.
That I saw, yes.
You also have a radio in your hand.
Dis korrek.
That's correct.
Is that the radio you mentioned earlier, the two-way radio?
Dis korrek.
That's correct.
Stop. Continue. Continue. Stop, pause. That wall, you mentioned earlier you were pushed against.
Dis korrek.
That's correct.
Against what were you pushed? What was that?
Ons wil net sê die skuldweghuisie, guardhouse.
We, as the witness, was then translating it back to English, guardhouse.
Words were being uttered from the accused to the military. Do you know what was said, sir?
Dit glad nie.
Not at all.
At this point, the vehicle that the accused was driving is now entering the cemetery.
Dis korrek.
That's correct.
Okay. Both accused are still outside of the vehicle.
Dis korrek.
That's correct.
Did you give permission for the vehicle to enter the cemetery?
Glad nie.
Not at all.
Is it in your knowledge if anybody else gave permission?
Glad nie.
Not at all.
General Zulu, did she perhaps give permission?
Glad nie.
Not at all.
Do you recognize the person that's driving this vehicle?
Glad nie.
Not at all.
Continue. You testified earlier, General Zulu said leave. When did General Zulu said to you to leave?
Al waar gestaan het,
Where I was standing,
staan generaal Zulu aan my regterkant.
General Zulu is standing towards my right-hand side.
Can I point? There is two people standing on this side.
Dit is short lady, ja.
The short lady, yes.
Continue. When the vehicle is entering, it is 15:50. 10 seconds, 11, 12 seconds. Stop it. That point that the line that I was showing you, that was your access control duty.
Dis korrek.
That is correct.
Continue. Where are you going, sir?
Kan nie altyd onthou nie.
I cannot remember immediately.
Dit kan wees dat ons mense van die publiek wat wou ingekom het,
It can be there were members of the public that wanted to enter
wat ons buitekant gehou het.
that we had kept outside.
Who is entering the premises now?
Dit is die lijksvaal.
That is the hearse.
Do you know, and can you tell the court, who is now entering the cemetery?
Dit is nou, ekskuus tog, die publiek en familielede.
That is now the public as well as the family members.
Dit is die lede, die mense wat gekom het met die busse
Those are the people that had arrived with the buses
van die stadium af.
from the stadium.
Did these people that are now entering the cemetery, did they have a permit to enter the cemetery?
Dis korrek.
That is correct.
What type of permit did they have, sir? What type of permit?
Dis die akkreditasiekaart wat ons gekry het,
It's the accreditation card that we received,
wat jy om jou nek dra.
the one that you hang around your neck.
Thank you. The witness has now testified it is something that there is around his neck. He was also demonstrating it and getting the parties have not noticed, but he has also clarified it that he is also
Thank you, Lordship. Continue. All these people that are entering now, did they have a specific parking allocated to them? For the bus, as you mentioned before?
As die van die stopstraat af, onder die straat,
If you look at the four-way sign or stop from down the street,
die busse aan die regterkant van die pad parkeer.
the buses were on the right-hand side of the road.
What happened there, we now have a visual image of what happened on that day. Do you confirm this footage, sir?
Correct, ja.
Correct, yes.
Do you know if there's any other means? I see people walking in the cemetery. Was there any other means of transporting the people inside the cemetery?
Dis korrek, ja.
What?
That's correct, yes.
Hulle het golfkarretjies gehad, beskikbaar gestel
They have golf carts that were made available
vir behoeftige mense.
for people that were disabled.
So do you know when you opened this criminal case against the accused? Do you know when?
Dit was dieselfde aand gewees.
That was the same night.
And you testified earlier that you only got the video footage more or less a week after that
Dis korrek.
That is correct.
from James Bronkos.
Dis korrek.
That is correct.
Nothing further, Your Worship. Please just report.
Thank you, Colonel, even though you answered many questions direct in English, I'm going to follow the same procedure as my learned friend. That is, put the questions in English and you'll answer in whatever language you wish to choose. You understand that?
Ek verstaan.
I do understand.
Can you tell us what courses you did through your experience and training in the South African Police Service?
Ek het 1984 was ek in die polisie,
1994, I was at in the police
in die polisie college.
college.
1984 Mei, Junie
Around 1994, May, June.
het ek die spesiale wageenheid kursus deurloop,
Kan u dit net help asseblief vertaal?
Special Guard Unit course.
Thank you, Your Worship.
1991 het ek 'n offisierskursus deurloop in die Parel,
1991.
officers course.
Thank you.
In 1991 het ek die VIP kursus deurloop.
1991, 1992.
Ek is nie seker van die datum nie.
I'm not sure about the date, but I also attended a VIP course.
En dan het ek verskeie kursusse gedoen ten opsigte van rekenaar.
I also did different courses in respect of computers,
Asook 'n polisiekursus, die taktiese oorlewing skadebeheer.
as well as police courses, tactical courses pertaining to police.
That's correct.
And you clearly progressed up the ranks until your current rank of Lieutenant Colonel, you agree with me?
That's correct.
That is correct.
So would you accept the statement that you're a high-ranking senior officer in the South African Police Service?
That's correct, luitenant-kolonel in die Suid-Afrikaanse polisie.
Yes, that is correct. I am a lieutenant colonel
Colonel.
in South African Police Service.
And clearly, to get to that rank, you have to know nearly everything about police procedures, ranging from simple investigations all the way through testifying in court in trials. Would you agree with me?
Die lagbare ja, die werk wat ek doen,
Your Worship, yes, the work that I do
sedert 1984,
from 1994,
is beveiligingsdienste.
You say 1984 and you say 1994.
pardon me, Your Worship, mistake.
Sedert 1984
Pardon me, Your Worship, it was a mistake. Can I just repeat? 1984,
is ek in die beveiligingsdienste,
I was in the protection services.
waar ons werk met ministers,
We work with ministers,
eerste minister,
First Minister,
as ek kan gaan, dit was vorige eerste minister P.W. Botha,
if I remember correctly, I'll go back a bit, it was P.W. Botha,
eerste minister, toe word hy president, E.W. de Klerk,
and then he then became the First Minister who became a president, and then it was declared
president Mandela,
President.
Go one step further. You never had a list of accredited persons that could come in. Is that correct?
dis correct.
That is correct.
You just had a different class of persons, heads of state, but you didn't identify the actual individuals. Would you agree with me?
Dis correct.
That is correct.
So how would you know if somebody came along and said they were head of state and you had no idea who this person was, whether they were in fact such a head of state?
Agbare,
Your
die
Worship,
konvooi ingekom,
the convoy entered,
hulle kom in as 'n geheel.
they come as a whole, or can we hear here alles?
Hulle kom in as 'n geheel, ja, as
They
'n
come as a whole or as a bunch of cars, vehicles, the convoy.
so daar is traffic voor
So there is traffic in front,
en dan sal traffic aan die agterkant wees.
and then there's also traffic behind the said vehicles.
Well, we've watched the convoy. Do you agree on this video? You don't see one motorcycle whatsoever.
Die lagbare, wat hulle gewoonlik doen is, onder by die hek, of by die stopstraat,
Your Worship, what they normally do there by the four-way sign, the stop,
die begeleidingsvoertuig van verkeer,
then there would be Kaliera,
die beveiliging, die verkeersvoertuie,
the traffic vehicles
sal wegbreek.
will then disperse in different directions or go to different directions.
Dis correct.
Would you now please answer my question?
Ek kan net herhaal asseblief.
Can you repeat it, please?
Do you agree that on this entire video footage you do not see one motorcycle?
Die enigste motorfiets wat ingekom het, was voor by die stoet.
The only motor vehicle that entered was the one in front of the convoy.
I'm going to repeat my question and in fact challenge you. You do not see a motorcycle on this video footage. Do you agree with me?
Ek stem.
I agree.
Any reason that you can think of why there's no footage of a motorcycle that you've relied on so heavily in your testimony, in your video footage, that we now know you presented.
Because reason is that those motorcycles were dispersed in different directions there at the four-way stop.
Now, on that day, that's Saturday the 14th of April 2018, there was an official program for the day. Do you agree with me?
That's correct.
That is correct.
How did it work? Please tell the court.
Ek kan nie wat gebeur het by die stadium, ek kan nie daar kommentaar lewer nie.
Can I just ascertain your worship because I didn't hear that properly?
Ek kan nie sê wat gebeur het by die stadium nie.
I cannot say what happened at the stadium.
But you're aware that there was a convoy that went to other places before it arrived at the cemetery. Is that correct?
Ek kan nie daarop antwoord nie.
I cannot answer on that.
You've got no knowledge.
Geen.
None.
So put differently, you don't know how, when or where these vehicles were accredited to come into the stadium.
Daar's vir ons gesê dat
We were told that
die Mandela familie, die stoet,
the Mandela family, the convoy
met president Ramaphosa,
with President Ramaphosa
sal daai spesifieke dag na die begraafplaas toe gaan.
will come that specific day or will go that specific day to the cemetery.
Op die dag van die operasie,
On the day of the operation,
het hulle ons laat weet
they informed us
dat die deputy president
that the deputy president
en die head of states gaan saamkom na die begraafplaas toe.
will also come along with to the cemetery.
That's not my question, and you're not going to escape, as you've realized. I will repeat it each time until I get an answer. Do you want to answer the question if I repeat it again?
Repeat the question, please.
You have no idea how, when or where these vehicles were accredited to attend at the cemetery, is that correct?
Ek was nie deel van die paneel vir so ek weet nie waar hulle geskree nie.
I was not part of the panel that was doing the accreditation.
You have no idea how many vehicles were accredited, is that correct?
Dis korrek.
That is correct.
You have no description of the particular vehicles that would be accredited, do you agree with me?
Geen inligting van ons deurgegee nie.
No information was sent forward to us.
What was the form of the accreditation for the vehicle? How did it look?
Dit was 'n A4
It was
grootte.
A4, the size of it.
Ek weet nie, ek kan nie, dit is 2,5 jaar terug, ek kan nie sê hoe die permit gelyk het nie.
And it's 2.5 years ago. I cannot say how the permit looked.
And there's no statement by you where you describe these permits, do you agree with me?
Ek het 'n verklaring afgelegd om te sê
I
wat
did make a statement afterwards to say
wat is die persoonlike akkreditasie en wat is 'n voertuigakkreditasie?
what the personal accreditation was and what the vehicle accreditation was.
I can assure you we will be returning to your statements, but you didn't do so in your first statement, do you agree with me?
Was nie my eerste verklaring nie.
It was not my first statement.
Dit was 'n opvolgverklaring.
It was a follow-up statement.
Okay, so we'll get to it. So, what I want to tell you, sir, is that there's an official program for this funeral. Are you aware of that?
Volgens die media, ja.
According to the media, yes.
So you learned from the media that there was an official program. You had no knowledge of it.
Ek is nie deel gewees van die paneel van die beplanningsoffisiere nie.
I was not part of the panel of the planning officers.
And nobody gave you insight or any knowledge of what that official program looked like. Is that correct?
Ons is kortlik gebrief.
We were briefed in short.
Well, in your in-short briefing, what was explained to you?
Dat die hele proses gaan begin by Orlando Stadium
That the whole process will start at Orlando Stadium
en dat die direkte familie
and that the direct family
en die president
as well as the president
sal kom na die begraafplaas toe.
will then come or proceed to the cemetery.
And you had no idea who was going to be speaking or making tributes at the stadium, is that correct?
That's correct.
That is correct.
Have you ever, since then, in the past 2.5 years, established who actually spoke at the ceremony in the stadium?
Ek het in die media gesien,
I saw from the media
What did you see?
die sprekers wat daar gepraat het by die stadion.
the speakers that were speaking there at the stadium.
Who were they?
Onder andere president Ramaphosa,
Amongst others, President Ramaphosa,
meneer Julius Malema,
Mr. Julius Malema,
mevrou Zinzi
Mrs. Zinzi,
en minister Fikile.
and Minister Fikile.
Fikile, I think it's Fikile Mabula.
I think it is Minister Fikile Mbalula.
En nog ander mense wat daar gepraat het. Ek kan nie hulle almal onthou nie.
And other people also there that were speaking. I cannot remember all their names.
If we sign in on this case, when did you establish that accused number one, Mr. Julius Malema, had made a tribute at the stadium in relation to the death of Winnie Madikizela Mandela?
Kan jy daar asseblief?
Can you please repeat?
In relation to this case, when did you establish that accused number one, Julius Malema, had made a tribute at the stadium for the late Winnie Madikizela Mandela?
Dit was seker die Sondag Maandag wat ek in die media gesien het.
It was maybe the Sunday, Monday when I saw that on the media, or when I saw it on the media.
So in summary, it was after the event.
Dis na die event, dis korrek.
Yes, it's correct. It is after the event.
So on the day, being the 14th of April 2018, the Saturday, you had no idea that Mr. Julius Malema had made a tribute at the stadium. Is that fair to say?
Dis korrek.
That is correct.
And when you saw that he had made the tribute at the stadium, did you have any thoughts about what had happened as we see on the video here?
Glad nie.
Not at all.
No, it had no effect on you. So you've had this altercation that we see here. You then found out that the person that you were involved in had actually played a significant role in the proceedings, but it had zero effect on you. Is that correct?
Ek sal sê dat
I will say that
die vorige dag die 13de in die briefing,
the previous day, the 13th, at the briefing,
was ons ongelig om wie kom na die begrafplaas toe.
we were informed who will be attending the, who will be coming or attending there at the cemetery.
It wasn't the question. I'm going to repeat it. We're going to go through this pattern regularly. What you're saying is that you established the following day that the person that you've been involved in an altercation with had made a tribute at the ceremony in the stadium for the late Winnie Madikizela Mandela, but this had zero effect on you. Is that correct?
Dis korrek.
That is correct.
The witness situation in the interim?
time do you expect the convoy to arrive?
Ja, dis sal ons oor die radio laat weet hè.
Your Worship, they would have informed us over the radio
Dat die konvooi vertrek by die stadion.
that the convoy was leaving the stadium.
So you didn't know in advance.
Nee.
No.
So then what time were you informed that the convoy has now left the stadium?
Ja, ek het op my horlosie gekyk nie, so ek kan nie presies sê hoe laat nie.
Your Worship, I did not look at my watch, or my wristwatch, so I cannot exactly say what time it was.
You cannot exactly say
Ja, maar dit kan 3 uur wees, kan 10 oor 3 wees, kan kwart voor 3 wees. Ek kan nie sê nie.
Your Worship, it can be 3 o'clock, 3:15, or 3. I cannot exactly say.
See, I don't want to criticize the procedures, but we've watched the video. You'll agree it looks very haphazard. It doesn't look very orderly.
Dis korrek?
It looks very haphazard what happened there. It doesn't look orderly.
Volgens my was dit ordelik geweest.
According to me, it was orderly.
And you say that despite not knowing what time you were to anticipate the arrival of the VIPs, heads of state, president, deputy president, or anybody.
Kan jy vraag herhaal asseblief?
Can you repeat the
You
question?
say that
please?
well knowing that you had no idea what time to expect. The president, vice president, heads of state, and other VIPs, including the Mandela family.
As hulle sê hulle vertrek by die stadium, soos ek nie kyk na die tyd nie, dan weet ons ons omtrent so 20 minute dan sal hulle by ons wees.
If they say, or we inform that they are leaving the stadium, we would have had approximately 20 minutes. So I did not look at the time at that stage.
That to hand to you, I'll show my learned friend and his worship as well, and I've asked that it provisionally be accepted unless if there is a dispute. But what I have here is the official order of proceedings of the day. You'll see on the cover, it said it's special official funeral service for Winnie Madikizela Mandela, Saturday, 14th of April 2018. You acknowledge that?
If there is no objection, so I think just deal with this aspect of the any further, so this will now be exactly explained of this on the state side.
Thank you, Your Worship. I was not given this before, Your Worship. I was not informed about this, Your Worship. However, I say there's no objection, Your Worship. It's not in dispute, Your Worship. The context, Your Worship, I have not perused, Your Worship. As I said, I just got the information now, Your Worship. But this is not in dispute, Your Worship.
So there's been accepted content,
I will
stage where explain the
Yes, Your Worship. I will address if there's anything more, Your Worship, but for progress sake, Your Worship, we can continue.
Fair enough. After the state, they have sufficient time to study the document. I hope that they can do about study, so that the parents can also understand why they need to do further for the document. We may then now proceed. Thank you, sir.
As I said, you'll see on the cover, it is headed Special Official Funeral Service for Winnie Madikizela Mandela, Saturday, 14th of April 2018. You recognize the person and the date, is that correct?
That's correct.
That is correct.
You also confirmed that there was a special state official funeral for the late Winnie Madikizela Mandela. Do you agree with that?
Stem.
You'll
Yes.
see she's recognizable. There's an obituary, and then if you turn, you'll see that there's the funeral program, something which I really believe has been shared with you.
You say it wasn't?
Not at all.
Now you'll see here, starts their funeral program, part 1 at home. Family valedictory service, opening devotions, Bishop Gary Rivers and Reverend Dr. Kili Mahana. And there's a viewing of the body that started at 6:30 that morning. You see that?
sien ja.
I see yes.
Were you aware of this part of the proceedings?
Glad nie.
Not at all.
Now, what's important in relation to your testimony is you'll see, and I'll take you through it. It says the 6:30 to 7 viewing of the body, 7 to 7:15 homily, 7:15 to 7:30 draping of the casket, and then you'll see the 7:30 to 7:50 placing of the casket in the hearse, and then at 8 o'clock to 8:30 convoy departs for Orlando Stadium. So in other words, this convoy had to have been formed prior to 8 o'clock in the morning that morning. Do you agree with me?
Dagbaar, ek was nie deel van die konvooi nie, so op daai stadium by daai plek betrokke nie. Ek kan nie sê nie.
Your Worship, I was not part of that convoy at that station at that time. I was not part of it, Your Worship, so I cannot say.
And it continues there. It says 8:30 to 8:55 procession departs Orlando Stadium entrance to the field. You see that?
Yes.
And if you then turn to the part 2 at Orlando Stadium, and then it starts from 0900 hours to 1300 hours. Do you agree with me?
Ek sien dit in jou spreek.
I see it, yes, it's correct.
It says program directors, Minister Nosiviwe Mapisi Nkakulu, Ms. Tandi Modisi, and then we have a program of what would take place at Orlando Stadium. You weren't aware of this before, is that correct?
Dis korrek. Baie kennis nie.
That is correct, yes, I did not have any knowledge.
And you'll see, as I had put to you, there was a national anthem, musical item, opening devotions, musical item, acknowledgement of dignitaries, welcome by Premier David Makuru, then there's close friend Mrs. Mahobo, then number 8 is Madikizela family representative, Mrs. Zukizwa Madikizela. You confirm that so far, sir?
Correct.
Correct?
Then item 9, Abatembu royal address. Then there's a reading of the obituary by Mswati Dlamini Mandela. You agree with that?
Ek sien dit ja.
I see it,
Number
yes.
11 is a musical item. Number 12 is a tribute by the grandchildren. You see Mr. Zondro Mandela. Then you see 13 tributes, and it just says sisters. Do you agree with me?
Ek sien dit.
I see it.
14 is musical item, and it's by Tandiswa Mazwai. Then there's tribute by the daughters and the 2 ambassadors, Anani Mandela, Dlamini and Zinzi Mandela. One of the persons that you did acknowledge, you heard about speaking through the media, is that correct?
Dis korrek.
That's correct.
Then there was a musical item by Sipho Hotsticks Mabuza. You agree with that? And then relevant to this case, number 17 was a tribute by Mr. Julius Malema.
Ek sien dit.
I see it.
Then there were further tributes by the extended family, Mr. Jeff Radebe, that followed after Mr. Malema. You agree with me?
Dis korrek.
Correct?
Then there's a tribute by the ANC Women's League, Ms. Batabili Dlamini, and the further tributes, as you yourself said, by Mr. Fikili Mbalula. There's an international guest speak, International Head of State tribute. There's His Excellency President Dennis Sassou Nguesso, His Excellency President Khabe Geingob. You confirm so far, is that correct? Then there's a musical item, a eulogy, a sermon, a musical item, announcements, benediction, a military ceremony, and then there's the departure to the gravesite, item number 30. Do you confirm that, sir?
Ek sien dit.
I see it.
Then part 3, and this is something that it astounds me that you were unaware of. It's at the gravesite. And you'll see that it starts, President Ramaphosa and family are seated at the gravesite. You see that, sir?
Ek sien dit.
I see it.
Military procession, removal of the miniature RSA flag from the casket by the SANDF to be handed over to the chief of the SANDF, who hands it over to the president for presentation to the next of kin. And draping of the casket, pallbearers salute and withdraw. Pallbearers take up position, the last post is sounded, sounding of reveille. Pallbearers salute and withdraw. Committal service by Bishop Siwa. Vote of thanks, General Tandukulo, Mandela, benediction, Bishop Siwa. And that's followed by the anthem.
You agree?
Ek sien dit.
So what I want to put you so is that there was an official program and that accused number 1, Julius Malema, was instrumental in those proceedings. Do you have any comments?
Ek het op geen stadium het ons enige een van hierdie programme gekry nie.
We never received at no stage or any stage at all these programs.
Now, from that program, you don't know who the heads of state were. Do you agree with me?
Ek weet glad nie.
Do not know.
Similarly, when you talk of the Mandela family, you don't know who they were. Do you agree with me?
Ek ken nie almal nie, nee.
I do not know all of them now.
In relation to both of my questions, firstly, you can't say how many heads of states there were. Do you agree with me?
Ek stem saam.
I agree.
And you can't say how many members of the Mandela family were present that day. Do you agree with me?
Ek stem saam.
I agree.
Can you give us any idea of how many cars they utilized?
Kan jy herhaal asseblief?
Can you give us any idea of how many cars they utilized that day?
Ek het die voertuie nie getel toe hulle inkom nie.
I did not count the vehicles as they were entering.
Not even a question of counting. You had no intelligence or information to tell you how many vehicles were coming. Do you agree with me?
Glad nie, ek weet nie hoeveel voertuie gaan inkom nie.
And you never...
Not at,
So, I beg your pardon, I forgot about interrupting.
not at all. I did not know.
And you never ever asked.
Hulle het net vir ons gesê die konvooi beweeg van die stadium af na die begrafplaas.
They just informed us that the convoy is moving from the stadium to the gravesite or cemetery.
Now I want to put to you, sir, that the Mercedes vehicle that the accused was in was accredited. Do you have any comment?
Dagbare, ja, die voertuig kan akkreditasie gehad het.
Your Worship, yes, the vehicle could have had accreditation,
Maar die akkreditasie was gewees vir die Orlando Stadium.
but the accreditation was for Orlando Stadium.
How do you know that?
Want ek is ingelig deur Luitenant-Kolonel Madong
Because I was informed by Lieutenant Colonel Madong
op die 13de April
on the 13th April
dat slegs die familie en die president gaan na die graf toe kom.
that only the family and the president will come to the cemetery or graveside.
But we know that's not true. You've seen the video, sir.
Dis korrek.
That is correct.
Op die dag van die 14de,
On
begrafnis,
on the day of the funeral, the 14th,
toe die konvooi vertrek het by die stadium,
when the convoy left at the stadium,
het hulle ons laat weet
they informed us
dat die adjunkt-president
that the deputy
en
president
die head of state is deel van die konvooi.
and the head of states were part of the convoy.
How many vehicles?
Ek het nie voertuie getel nie,
I did not count the
en
vehicles.
dat nie vir ons so die radio gesê hoeveel voertuie nie.
They did not also inform us over the radio how many vehicles were there.
So all you knew is that the convoy, as per your version, which I do dispute, has now grown, and that there are all other cars that are going to be arriving at the cemetery. Is that correct?
Die konvooi het ons arriveer by die begrafplaas.
The convoy would arrive at the cemetery.
Soos ek gesê het, voor sal verkeer wees,
As I said, in front it would be the traffic,
dan is dit die van Mandela familie,
and then it would be the Mandela family,
die president,
the president,
adjunkt-president,
deputy president,
die minister, die head of state,
head of states.
die minister. En die voertuie sal in 'n konvooi beweeg.
These vehicles will move in a convoy.
En geen karre, as 'n kar uitgaan of geen kar sal die konvooi kan aansluit nie. Want hulle sal dit weet, hulle sal die voertuig uitdruk.
No car will join the convoy because they will inform us should that happen.
Dis korrek.
Do you agree that most of the roads on that route were closed off that day for the convoy to come through?
Daar's vir ons gesê dat die pad word toegemaak, dis korrek.
Yes, we were informed that the roads were being closed.
And nobody could just join the convoy. Do you agree with me?
Dis korrek.
That is correct.
So it's not a case of being informed if somebody joined the convoy. There was nobody that joined. The roads were closed. Only the convoy proceeded along the main roads between the stadium and the funeral. Do you agree with me?
Dis korrek, soos ek verstaan, ja.
That is correct. That is how I understood it.
And I want to put to you that the accused vehicle was part of that convoy. And you knew it at the time even.
Ek het geen idee gehad wie almal in die konvooi is nie.
I did not know. I did not have an idea who all the people that will be part of the convoy.
Die laaste voertuig wat ingekom het, die 2 X5'e.
The last vehicles that entered the 2 X5s,
Daar's daar geen voertuie direk agter hulle gewees nie.
there were no other vehicles directly after those.
Ek het die swart Vito Mercedes busie gesien.
I did see the black Vito Mercedes vehicle.
En soos ek vroeër gesê het, ek het geen sigbare voertuigpermit gesien nie.
And as I previously stated, I did not see any visible vehicle permit.
En al het hy voertuigpermit gehad, sou ek hom nog steeds gestop het.
And even though they had the vehicle permit, I would have still stopped them.
Well, Colonel, I put to you, the permit was clearly visible. We'll even see it on photos and on video footage. You accept it?
Waar ek het geen permit gesien nie.
Your Worship, I never saw any permit.
It was in the front, on the dashboard, on the left-hand side, as you explained, and I'll show it to you. Do you have any comments?
Dit kan wees dat hy was nie opgewees nie, dat hulle hom agterna opgesit het. Ek kan
No,
nie
we
sê.
see it on
It
the
can
video.
be that they put it there afterwards, but I did not see it. There was no permit there that day.
And that permit that you looked at, what did it say?
Ek het geen permit gesien op die voertuig nie.
Never
I
saw.
did not see any permit on the vehicle that day.
So how do you know they had a permit for the stadium only?
Want dit was gesê dat daai voertuig gaan net stadium toe en dat
Because we were informed those vehicles are only going to the stadium end,
dat slegs die president en die van Mandela familie kon na die graf toe.
and that only the president as well as the Mandela family will be proceeding to the graveside or cemetery.
I want to put you, and it's clear from the docket, I'll show it to you, even on Zinzi, the late Zinzi Mandela's version. Mr. Malema was part of the Mandela family, in the proceedings, in her statement, and in the convoy, sir.
Eerlikwaar, as meneer Malema deel was van die familie,
Your Worship, if Mr. Malema was part of the family,
dan sou hy ook saam met die familie in die voertuig gery het.
he would have driven with the family in the vehicle or in the car,
Of sy voertuig sal deel van hulle konvooi uitgemaak het.
or his vehicle would have made part of their convoy.
It was part of the convoy, put it to you, sir.
Daar was geen stadium, sy voertuig was agter die ministers in gewees.
There it was not, because his vehicle was after the ministers, the convoy of the ministers' vehicle.
Now, we've heard from you today how important the convoy and who was part of the convoy was to you. Is that correct?
Dis korrek.
That is correct.
In fact, I'd say it was probably the most crucial part of your evidence. Would you dispute that?
Glad nie.
Not at all.
When you made a statement to the police, did you mention the convoy at all, sir?
Glad nie.
Not at all.
Any particular reason why not?
Ek het die aand toe by die prestasie was verklaring afgelê.
The evening thereof, when I went to the police station to make this statement,
Het ek 'n kort weergawe gegee wat gebeur het.
I gave a short version of what had took place,
Want op daai stadium was ek in skok gewees oor wat gebeur het.
because at that stage I was still in shock over what had happened.
Later in die aand het kolonel Naidu my gekontak.
Later the evening, Colonel Naidu phoned me or contacted me.
Kolonel Naidu is van provinsie Gauteng
Colonel Naidu is from provincial Gauteng,
en hy het my meegedeel
and he informed me
dat hulle deur die week opvolg verklaring sal neem van my.
that they will during the week take follow-up statement, a follow-up statement from me.
En
Did that happen?
dit het nie gebeur nie.
That did not happen.
But you saw the video 2 weeks later, 1 or 2 weeks later, is that correct?
Dit was 'n week later, dis korrek, ja.
It is a
Ek
week.
weet ek kan nie presies datum gee nie.
It is a week later, yes, but I cannot give the definite date.
But having viewed the video and having calmed down from your state of shock, which I also dispute, you saw no reason to go back and amplify or correct your statements. Is that correct?
Op daai stadium het ek gegaan na Solidariteit toe, my unie.
At that stage, I went to my union,
Solidariteit.
Solidarity Union.
Hulle het my verwys na Hutter en Spies.
They referred me to
Hutter en Spies.
Herta and Spies.
En hulle het die saak verder hanteer.
Then they handled the matter further.
Okay, so as I understand your evidence, and please feel free to correct me, not only did you receive the video, you went to your union, Solidarity, were appointed attorneys to assist you in relation to this matter. Is that correct?
Dis korrek.
That is correct.
Yet you never amplified or corrected your statement. Do you agree with me?
Want kolonel Naidu het my gesê hulle gaan my kontak
Because Colonel Naidu told me they will contact me
sodat ek 'n opvolgverklaring kan doen.
so that I can make my follow-up statement.
En tot op datum is dit nog nie gebeur nie.
And up until to date, it has never happened.
Now, when you went to make your statement, you did so of your own free volition. Is that correct?
Dis korrek.
That is correct.
Nobody influenced you as to what you should or shouldn't say in the statement. Do you agree?
Dis korrek.
That is correct.
It was the very same evening, everything was fresh in your mind. Do you agree with me?
Nee, alles was nie daar gewees nie. Ek was, soos ek sê, ek kan nie alles presies onthou het nie. Ek was in skok oor dit wat gebeur het by die ingang.
Not everything was stated there. As I said, I was in shock over what had happened there with that proceedings.
No, that's not what you answered. You said you couldn't remember everything. Am I right?
Dis korrek.
That is correct.
So at the time, that very night, you couldn't remember everything. Now, 2.5 years later, you remember everything.
Dit is nie korrek. Ek het die Sondag Maandag het ek gaan sit en ek het alles die hele ding weer deurgegaan.
The Sunday, Monday, I sat down and I went through the whole thing.
And then did you make a new statement on the Sunday or the Monday?
Tot op datum glad nie.
Up until to date, never at all.
Even that's not correct. It will resolve that in due course. I want to show you a photocopy of your statement for you to identify it. State of the and a copy to replace it for mine. Hand it to us.
This is a copy, Your Worship. Mr. Baba just has the docket at this moment, Your Worship.
May I ask that we proceed on the copy and we'll replace it into here.
Your Worship, the statements that we do have in the docket, Your Worship, is a copy. Your Worship, as I'm going to place it on record, Your Worship, the original docket got lost, Your Worship. So the statement that my colleague is referring to, Your Worship, we do have that, Your Worship, and we have disclosed this to my colleague, Your Worship, but it is a copy that we do have, Your Worship. No, Your Worship. No, Your Worship.
Do you recognize this document, sir?
Dis korrek.
That is correct.
Is it your handwriting?
Dis nie my handteken, dis nie my handskrif nie.
It is not my handwriting.
Do you confirm that you went to the Douglasdale police station to report this matter?
Dis korrek.
That is correct.
Is there any reason why you chose Douglasdale police station?
Want Douglasdale Polisiestasie val onder die distrik van Fourways.
Because Douglasdale Police Station falls under the district of Fourways.
And do you recognize this as a copy of the statement that you made on the very day on which the incident took place?
Dis korrek.
That is correct.
And that it was allocated Douglasdale CAS 380/04/2018.
Dis korrek.
Correct.
And you'll notice immediately that it's written in the English language. Is that correct?
Dis korrek.
That is correct.
So before you signed this statement, being an experienced police officer, I take it that you ensured that it was a correct reflection of what you had told the police officer who wrote it. Is that correct?
Dis korrek.
That is correct.
When once he had read it to you and you had identified it as what you had told the police officer, you took an oath and signed that this was the truth.
Dis korrek.
That's correct.
Right. If we can go through it step by step for your comments, sir. Chair Johannes Jacobus Venter states under oath in English. 1, I'm an adult male with ID number and it gives you identity number. Is that correct?
Dis korrek.
Correct.
It says 54 years of age, residing at Van Drager Street, number 215, Tileba, Pretoria North, and your cell phone number as well. Is that correct?
Dis korrek.
That's correct.
It also says I'm employed as the Lieutenant Colonel at SAPS PPS Troy Street, Mupo Naga Building, Arcadia, Pretoria. Do you confirm that?
Dis korrek.
Then it deals with the incident in question once you've identified yourself, and you say in paragraph 2, on Saturday, 2018-04-14 at about 05:30, I reported on duty at Four Ways Memorial Park, Memorial Lane, Craigavon, Four Ways. Is that correct?
Dis korrek.
That's correct.
I was doing protection duties posted at the gate of the cemetery. Is that correct?
Dis korrek.
I was instructed by my general to allow the people who were carrying cards with, it's either with or into the family, also the Mandela family, the president of the country and some cabinet ministers into the cemetery. Is that correct?
Dis korrek.
Now those cards that you refer to there, or what you explained in your evidence in chief as the lanyards around their neck, is that correct?
Dis korrek, ja.
Nothing to do with motor vehicles so far. Do you agree with me,
Dis
Colonel?
korrek.
That's correct.
You say the same date, at about 15:50, while performing my duties, came a black Mercedes Vito. I do not remember its registration number. Do you agree with me?
Dis korrek.
You say there were 3 black males inside. One was the driver and one was at the front left seat. And the third was at the back of the vehicle. I could recognize the one seating at the back as Julius Malema, the EFF leader. Do you agree?
Dis korrek.
I want to put to you, sir, there weren't 3 people in the vehicle, there were 4. Do you have any comments?
So, Johanna, ek het die voertuig beweeg vir die bestuurder.
I moved towards the vehicle there on the driver's side.
Ek het die bestuurder was daar gewees en Dr. Ndlozi aan die passasierskant.
Pardon me, can you repeat? Can you
Bestuurder
Mm-hmm.
en aan die passasierskant
Yes, and it was the driver as well as
Dr. Ndlozi.
the passenger end.
En aan die agterkant het ek vir meneer Julius Malema gesien.
At the back, I saw Mr. Julius Malema.
Ek het nie die 4de persoon in die voertuig gesien nie.
I did not see the 4th person inside the vehicle.
No, that's absolutely impossible. I'm going to show you on the video. Your version's not possible. Do you accept the challenge?
Yes, sir.
So I've put you, there were 4 people in the vehicle, you only saw 3.
That's correct, sir.
And you're adamant.
I only saw 3 people.
Any reason why you didn't see the 4th person? Because I must tell you, he's a very large person.
Want
Similar to you, as you'll see on the video.
Ek het gepraat met die bestuurder.
Because I was speaking to the driver.
Hy het my gesê meneer Malema is in die voertuig.
He told me that Mr. Malema is inside the vehicle.
Ek het nie my kop in die venster ingesteek.
Pardon me, Your Worship, may I ascertain that
Ek het nie.
Okay, thank you, Your Worship. I did not stuck my head inside the vehicle to inspect.
So ek het net die bestuurder,
So I just saw the driver,
Dr. Ndlozi en meneer Malema.
as stated by the witness.
And you recognized Mr. Malema in the vehicle.
Dis korrek.
You knew who he was. You knew who he was.
Ek het geweet wie dit is.
I knew who he was.
Paragraph 4 of your own statement. I then explained to the people at the vehicle that they are not allowed to get inside the cemetery according to the instructions I received. So you told them they're not allowed in, is that correct?
Draagbare glad nie, ek het gesê die voertuig.
Where did you find
Your
that?
worship, not at all. I said the vehicle.
Where is that in your statement, sir?
Ek het die verklaring sê, wat die verklaring sê, maar het is, ek het gesê die voertuig.
The statement, sorry, the statement states what it states. However, I said the vehicle.
How did you make such a cardinal, fundamental mistake, sir?
Omrede by stadium, soos ek het vroeër gesê het, ek was geskok geweest oor die gebeure wat plaasgevind het.
On reason being that, your worship, as I previously stated, that stage I was under shock.
That's worse than ridiculous, sir. I'm going to tell you, we've listened to you, we've heard you the whole time, that are important, the accreditation of the vehicles were the convoy, the motorcade, the motorcycles. Here there's no mention of it. In your very own statement, you say, I didn't allow those people into the cemetery. Do you agree with me?
Volgens die verklaring ja, maar dit is nie die persone nie, dit is die voertuig.
As per the statement, yes, but it is not the people, it is the vehicle.
You're an experienced policeman making a statement. You yourself know that it says here that you didn't allow the people in. Do you agree with me?
Volgens die verklaring ja,
As per the statement, yes,
maar dis nie wat ek bedoel het nie.
but that is not what I meant.
Dit is die voertuig en nie die persone nie.
It was the vehicle and not the occupants or the people.
Then why didn't you say that? Why is there no mention anywhere, sir, of accredited vehicles, a convoy, or anything pertaining to parking or vehicles as we've heard for so long in court today?
En waarom het ek het die verklaring afgelê, soos ek het vroeër gesê het. Die aand is ek gekontak deur kolonel Naidu.
Now, your worship, as I previously stated, the evening when I made the statement, the evening thereof, I was then contacted by Colonel Naidu
Om 'n verklaring te doen.
to make a follow-up statement.
I don't understand your answers. Maybe you want to clarify. I want to give you every opportunity. So you were called after the event by Colonel Naidu to make a follow-up statement. How did he know that the statement didn't mention vehicles?
Ek glo hulle het die verklaring gekry by of die saak gekry by area.
Because I believe they received the case there, the area.
Dus ek kom my gekontak het om te sê saak.
That is why he contacted me, that is to say that the case has been instituted
En dat hulle iemand sal aanstel
and that they will appoint someone
om 'n opvolgverklaring te kry.
to obtain a follow-up statement.
Now, I want to put to you that this was closer to the time and closer to the truth than your testimony today. Do you have any comment?
Dit is nie waar nie.
It is not true.
It's logical. Obviously, as an incident occurs, you've got a better memory than 2.5 years later. Do you agree with me?
Ek stem nie saam nie.
I do not agree.
So your memory improves with age, like red wine. It's not, if you think back.
Sorry for the interruption. Please do not laugh.
So you're saying, if you think back on today, in 2.5 years' time, you remember better what happened today as opposed to tonight.
Dis nie wat ek gesê het nie.
That is not what I said.
Can you explain it?
Die dag van die voorval.
The day of the incident,
Daai selfde dag en daai aand.
that Saturday and that night,
Was ek in skok geweest oor wat plaasgevind het.
I was in shock over what had happened or taken place.
Ek het notas gemaak oor wat gebeur die dag.
I made notes over what happened during the day.
Zoals kolonel Naidu gesê het, hulle sal my kom sien
So when Colonel Naidu said they will come and see me
vir die opvolg volledige verklaring.
for the follow-up complete statement.
Now, you must appreciate, and I need to put it to you now, just as you utilize the video to show the incident, if you were in a state of visible state of shock, we'd see it on the video as well. Do you agree with me?
Dis korrek.
That is correct.
So we'll view it later, and I'm going to ask you from the different perspectives. And I want to put to you further, so you weren't shocked on that video. You were smiling, you were confident, you were anything but shocked. Do you have any comment?
Draagbare ja, as ek gespanne raak of in skok is, dit is my reaksie.
Your worship, yes, when I become tense or in shock, that is my reaction.
What do you mean by that's your reaction?
Soos ek gesê het, die smile is, dis nie 'n smile van opgewonde oor iets is nie, dit is van skok.
As I said, the smile that is there, it's not a smile that you are happy over something. It is a smile indicating that you are shocked or of shock.
And when you stand up straight and proud and walk all over, that's your indication of shock.
As 'n lid van die Suid-Afrikaanse Polisiediens,
As a member of the South African Police Service,
het ek 'n plig om daar 'n diens te verrig.
I have a duty to do my duties there.
Ek kan nie na so 'n voorval om my ook gaan regkry nie.
I cannot, after such an incident, go and hide in a corner.
Ek het voorgaan met my dienste
I proceeded with my duties
Despite your state of shock.
alhoewel u geskok was.
Dit is korrek.
That is correct.
And what you say here is, I then explained to the people at the vehicle that they are not allowed to get inside the cemetery according to the instructions I received. So the obvious question that arises from that is, who instructed you not to let those people into the cemetery?
Wat die opdragte was gewees dat slegs die Mandela familie en die president, soos ek vroeër gesê het,
What the instructions were was that only the Mandela family as well as the president, as I previously indicated,
die toegang tot die begrafplaas.
had access or can gain entry to the cemetery.
But we saw people, even if you look at the video now, there are people walking in. They're not the family and the president. They're buses that arrive.
Die busse wat gearriveer het, daai busse het almal aan die regs voor, het hulle voertuigpermit.
Those buses that had arrived, all of them had in the right-hand side in front, they had their vehicle permits.
Dit is die familie van die Mandela familie
That was the family of the Mandela family
en vriende.
and friends.
So friends and people that you can't even count or identify came through that gate. You agree with me?
Hulle het akkreditasie, sigbare akkreditasie aan hulle nekke gehad.
Everyone,
had-
I beg your pardon.
They had visible accreditation tags around their necks.
I want to put you that the accused, 1 and 2, also had visible accreditation.
Die lagbare soos ek vroeër gesê het, hulle is meer as welkom om in te gaan.
Your worship,
Die
as I
voertuig.
previously said, they were more than welcome to enter the vehicle.
Die vehicle was hy toegelaat nie. Hy moes op die, soos die kaart wys, VIP guest private vehicle parking gaan parkeer het.
The vehicle was not allowed because it should have parked at the VIP vehicle parking. As per what the witness is indicating on the map, Your Worship.
But that's not what your statement says. It says the people were not allowed in.
Die lagbare wat ek daarby bedoel het,
Your
miskien
Worship, what I meant there,
die bewoning kan verkeerd wees.
the wording can be wrong, but
Dit is die voertuig en nie meneer Malema of Dr. Ndlozi nie.
it is the vehicle, not Mr. Malema or Mr. Ndlozi.
Now there's a clear distinction here. So it says, I then explained to the people at the vehicle that there's no mention of a vehicle, that they are not allowed to get inside the cemetery according to the instructions I received. Nothing about vehicles or vehicle accreditation. Do you agree with me?
Dis volgens die verklaring
That is per my statement.
Julle agbare, soos ek vroeër gesê het,
Your Worship, as I previously stated,
ek het die storie vertel, die persoon het geskryf by die polisiestasie.
I relayed my story to the person that was taking down the statement or writing down the statement at the police station.
Ek het die verklaring deurgelees.
I did read through the statement.
Ek het gelees, maar ek het nie duidelik nie goed gelees nie.
I did read, however, I did not clearly read the things.
En dis hoekom dit staan soos dit staan in die verklaring.
That is why it is stated, the manner in which it's stated in the statement.
You then continue. Then Julius got out of the vehicle and started shouting. Is that correct?
Dis korrek.
That is correct.
So there's no mistake there. No misinterpretation, no mistake. Your shock, your state of shock didn't impact on that sentence.
Op daai stadium toe meneer Julius Malema uit 'n voertuig uitspring,
At
begin
that
skree.
stage, pardon me, Herhaal die hele sin.
Op daai stadium toe meneer Malema uit die voertuig uitspring
At that stage, when Mr. Malema jumped out of the vehicle
en begin skree het
and started screaming
om te sê no white man will stop me.
to say such as the witness is indicating in English,
Ja, maar gebare ja. Ek was geskok geweest oor dit wat daar toe gebeur het.
yes, Your Worship, I was in shock over what was happening there.
But you still remembered accurately and recorded accurately what happened, despite your state of shock.
Wat meneer Malema gesê het daar, kan ek onthou.
What Mr. Malema said there, yes, I could remember.
Your statement continues. He said to me that he will not take instructions from a white man. Is that correct?
Dis korrek.
That's correct.
Also accurately recorded despite your state of shock. Is that correct?
Kan jy dit herhaal asseblief?
Also accurately recorded despite your state of shock. Is that correct?
Daar was shock dit.
But still accurately recorded even though you were shocked.
Dit is toe uitspring en dit so skree, dit is so mense kan dit nie vergeet nie.
When he jumped out and he was screaming, a person cannot forget that.
The other man from that vehicle, whom I did not see if he was the driver or the passenger, pushed me out of the way.
Dis korrek.
That's correct.
Another statement that wasn't impacted upon by your state of shock. You agree with me?
Dis korrek.
That time, I was trying to contact the VOC, Venue Operations Center, to verify if I can allow them inside. You agree?
Dis korrek.
That's correct.
Now, them can never be a vehicle. Do you agree with me? It's a number of people.
Daar was gewees vir die voertuig, nie vir die lede nie.
Your
Want hulle
Worship,
het
that was there for the, it was for the vehicle, not the people, because they
akkreditasie was om in 'n lekker gewees.
They had accreditation which was around their necks.
Dis korrek.
Where do you mention that in your statement, sir? That they had accreditation around their necks?
Soos ek vroeër gesê het, jou agbare,
As I previously said, Your Worship,
ek het notas gemaak
I made notes
en ek het gewag vir die ondersoekbeampte
and I waited for the investigating officer
om my te kontak.
to contact me.
Simply put, it doesn't appear in your statement. You agree with me? Nowhere do you say here, they had accreditation around their necks. Do you agree with me?
Dis korrek.
That's correct.
So if one reads this, then it becomes even more apparent that you are not letting them, the people, into the cemetery. Do you agree with me? On a reading of the statement.
Volgens die verklaring kan dit wees,
As per the statement, it can be,
maar dit is nie wat gebeur het nie.
but it is not what happened.
Continues. I then went back in front of the vehicle. Julius also pushed me from to the other side. He was shouting so many words which I could not remember.
Dis korrek.
That's correct.
Accurate. No impact from your state of shock.
En dan as ons kyk na die video
Your Worship, if we look at the video,
en ons sien ook dat die linkerkant van die voertuig gestamp is en terug.
and as you can see, I was shoved or pushed towards the left side of the vehicle and back.
Ek was geskok geweest
I was shocked.
omdat die EWF leier
Reason is because of the EFF member.
Meneer Julius Malema.
Sorry.
He said leader. Higher.
Sorry, pardon me. The EFF leader,
Meneer Julius Malema.
Mr. Julius Malema
En Dr. Ndlozi.
and Dr. Ndlozi.
Paragraph 5, you say, then General Zulu came and informed me that it is fine, they can get inside the cemetery.
Ja, achtbare, wat ek daar bedoel is,
Your Worship, what I meant there is,
as ons kyk na die video,
if we look at the video,
het generaal Zulu by my kom staan,
General Zulu came and stood here by me,
en wat sy gesê het is, just leave it.
and what she said to me is as per the witness evidence in English, Your Worship.
En ek het daar bly staan, en dit was vir my gewees die toestemming.
And I continued standing there, and to me that was the permission.
So when you testified today and said that you never gave permission for them to enter, you weren't telling the truth.
Ek praat die waarheid vandag hier achtbare.
I'm
No.
telling the truth, Your Worship.
The two are mutually exclusive. They contradict one another. Only one can be the truth. Which one is the truth?
Ek het die voertuig nie toestemming gegee nie, maar wel vir meneer Malema en Dr. Ndlozi.
I did not give the vehicle permission, but indeed gave Mr. Malema and Dr. Ndlozi permission.
Nothing could be further from the truth. Look what you're saying in the very next sentence. They then went inside. And we've seen the video. We know how they went inside.
Dit is sonder my toestemming en sonder generaal Zulu se toestemming.
It was without my permission and without the permission of General Zulu.
But your statement says the opposite, sir. It says that General Zulu came and informed me that it is fine. They can get inside the cemetery. They then went inside. And we've seen the video. We know they drove inside. Do you agree with me?
Julle achtbare, as ons kyk na die video,
Your Worship, if we look at the video,
het generaal Zulu by my kom staan.
General Zulu came and stood here by me.
Ek het glad nie met meneer Ndlozi, Dr. Ndlozi of meneer Malema gepraat nie.
I did not at all speak to Dr. Ndlozi and Mr. Malema.
So generaal Zulu het langs my gestaan
So General Zulu was standing next to me,
en sy het my gesê, just leave it.
and she said to me, as per the English version of the witness,
Just leave it. And from that we saw in the video the vehicle proceeded through in the same direction as the convoy that arrived. Do you agree with me?
Dis korrek.
that's correct.
So now we read into this because you interchange as you choose people and vehicles. So if we do apply your logic here, the general gave permission for the vehicle to go in, as we see on the video. Do you agree?
Generaal Zulu het nie toestemming gegee nie.
General Zulu did not give permission.
So then what do you mean when you say here, then General Zulu came and informed me that it is fine, they can get inside the cemetery. They then went inside.
Ek kan nie sê, ek het nie namens haar praat nie,
I cannot speak on her behalf.
wat ek verstaan
What I understood,
is, los dit vir die onder ons hier vanaf plaasgevind het.
leave it because of the proceedings or because of the altercation that took place there.
Leave it, they can go inside. Is that correct?
Nee, ek of generaal Zulu het toestemming gegee vir dit nie.
Not myself or General Zulu gave permission.
That contradicts your statement, but I'm asking you now, today. When she said leave it, she meant they can now proceed inside. Is that correct?
Nee, wat ek verstaan het is by daai wat sy gesê het, julle achtbare,
What I understood about what she said or through what she said,
is ek moet hulle los,
that I should leave them,
dat hulle kan ingaan
so that they can enter.
And we know how they entered.
met die voertuig.
They entered with a vehicle.
So in other words, they entered in the vehicle to the cemetery with permission.
Sonder toestemming van my of generaal Zulu.
Well, then
Without-
I beg your pardon.
Without the permission from myself and General Zulu.
But if you were offended and thought it was wrong, what backup did you call for? What reaction was there from you or the general to prevent them from going into the cemetery?
Ek kan nie praat namens die generaal nie.
I cannot speak on behalf of the general.
Ek het voorgegaan met my dienste
I continued with my duties.
en generaal Zulu,
And General Zulu,
ek weet nie wat se stadium het sy gegaan in die bok toe nie.
I do not know at which stage she went to the VOC,
En sy het daar gaan praat met luitenant-generaal
and she went there to go speak to a Lieutenant General,
Sam Shiklabani.
Sam
Shiklabani.
Sitlabani.
Well, there are a few issues that arise from this, Colonel. Firstly, if you're an effective presidential protection service and you're instructed not to let them in and they never got permission, one would expect you to react and do something. Do you agree with me?
Dis correct.
That is correct.
I mean, that's the whole purpose of being there. You let certain people in because they're accredited and allowed to go in, and you prevent other people from going in because they aren't accredited, not allowed to go in. Is that correct?
Dr. Ndlozi en meneer Malema was het accreditasie gehad.
Dr. Ndlozi and Mr. Malema they had accreditation,
So hulle was meer as welkom om in te gaan.
so they were more than welcome to enter.
Did you ever apologize to them?
Ek het nie nodig om te apologize nie.
There is no need for me to apologize.
Why not? You make a statement saying that the people weren't allowed in. You now admit they had accreditation. You let them in. You never took any action to prevent them from going in. And yet, you don't apologize.
Ek het my werk gedoen soos wat van my verwag word.
I did my duties as it was expected.
No, you didn't. If your duty was to prevent them from going in, then you should have prevented them. If your duty was to allow them in because they're accredited, then you ought to have apologized for prohibiting them from going in.
Dis hoekom ons na generaal Sam toe is om die situasie met hom te gaan bespreek.
That is why we went to Colonel Sam to go and discuss the situation with him.
And then it was established that they were entitled to go in and they'd gone in with their vehicle. Is that correct?
Ek weet nie wat die generaal Sam
I do not know what General Sam did there from there onward.
This must be the most ineffective presidential protection service I've ever heard of. It's a joke.
op geen stadium nie.
At no stage.
Well, which one is it? Either you're allowed to let them in and you apologize, or there was a misunderstanding, or they weren't allowed in and you failed in your duty in letting them go in.
As ek vroeg getuig het op hulle,
As I previously testified, Your Worship,
die voertuig was nie deel van die konvooi nie.
the vehicle was not part of the convoy.
Die voertuig is gestop.
The vehicle was stopped.
Ek het nie sigbare permit gesien nie.
I did not see a visible permit,
Al was daar 'n sigbare permit gewees.
although there was
Al was daar.
even though,
If there was.
if there was a visible permit,
Ek sou nog steeds gestop het.
I would have still stopped it.
Which one is it? You've got so many permutations of what possibly could have taken place that day.
Die voertuig was nie deel van die konvooi gewees nie.
This vehicle was not part of the convoy.
Dis hoekom ek gestop het.
That is why I stopped it.
Did you see a permit or not?
Ek het geen sigbare permit gesien nie.
I did not see any visible permit.
Show it to you in the photos and on the videos. Would you admit if you see the permit that you failed in your duties by not noticing it that day?
Glad nie.
Not at all.
I didn't expect you to. Now if we carry on here. Paragraph 6, you say, I sustained minor injury at my back and emotionally I was very shocked and embarrassed what happened as it was in front of the public, SABC members and the military members. Now, did you ever obtain a medical report for your injuries?
Lagbare,
Your Worship,
Sondag het ek gevoel aan my linkerkant.
Sunday I felt on my left hand side,
My ribbes by my sy.
the side here, my ribs on the left.
Dat het
And
seer is.
witness indicating with the hand gestures, Your Worship. that it was painful as the witness was holding the left-hand side of her body?
Maandag,
There's a copy, yes.
die maandag is ek na die ou HF Verwoerd Hospitaal.
The Monday, I then went to HF Randburg Hospital
Om 'n DG te gaan sien,
to go see a general GP,
district
district
A
practitioner.
district surgeon. And that's you use the abbreviation. There's no criticism of you. What you mean is a district surgeon, is that correct?
Dis korrek. By die hospitaal,
At the hospital,
by die ou deel van die hospitaal,
the old part of the hospital,
het hulle gesê dat niemand daar nie.
they said they don't have anyone there.
Ek moet na die boonste hospitaal toe gaan, die nuwe een.
Sorry,
Ek moet na die nuwe hospitaal toe gaan.
that I should go to the new hospital,
Daar het ek nog gepraat met die suster daar,
med assistant.
met die suster.
Med assistant. Thank you, Your Worship. There I spoke to a sister.
En sy het my ook meegedeel dat hulle nie so 'n persoon daar nie.
They also informed me that they don't have such a person there.
Ek is die Dinsdag na my huisdokter toe
I then went the Tuesday to my house doctor,
en hy het my meegedeel dat hy doen nie hierdie tipe sake nie.
and then he informed me that he does not do this type of cases.
Wat noem dit, besering aan diens
The
of besering van diens.
injury on duty or the injury from duty.
Hy het my wel meegedeel dat ek kon my spiere
He did, however, inform me that I can, with my muscles,
kon seer gekry het.
could have gotten injured or have been hurt.
Ek het geen sigbare beserings gehad nie.
I did not have any visible injuries.
En daarom het ek nie mediese verslag gegee nie.
That is why I did not give a medical report.
So in summary, you did not obtain a medical report.
Sorry sir.
In summary, you did not obtain a medical report.
Dis korrek, ek het nie mediese rapport nie.
And you,
Yes, that's correct. I do not have a medical report.
and you never obtained a J88 from the police station to be completed by any doctor, any medical practitioner.
Nee.
No.
Any reason why not?
Soos ek nou aan die hof verduidelik het, julle agbare,
As I had explained now to the court, Your Worship,
ek het hierdie J88 gehad.
I did not have the
Ek het
I
gehad.
did have the J88.
Ek was by Hendrik Verwoerd Hospitaal.
I was at HF Randburg Hospital.
Hulle kon my nie help nie.
They could not assist me.
My huisdokter
My home doctor
doen nie beserings van diens of aan diens nie.
does not do injury on duty or injuries from duty.
And once again, I want to put you, if we look at the video, there is no indication in any manner of you being injured. Do you have any comment?
Julle agbare, as ons kyk na die video,
Your Worship, if we look at the video,
ek is van die oggend af al op my voete. Ek werk.
I help you.
Ek is al van die oggend af
I was from the morning on my feet, as previously testified,
tot ek van diens af gegaan het.
up until the point I knocked off or I reported off duty.
So al jou spiere is warm. Jy is warm gewerk.
So all the muscles were warm. We worked until they were warm or hot.
But on the video, you'll agree, the way you walk and everything, there's no indication of any injury. Do you agree with me?
Op daai stadium glad nie.
At that stage, not at all.
Thank you. Then you say here, I do not have details of all the people who were there. I have witnesses who were posted with me, Constable Marcelo and Makobi, and also General Zulu. Is that correct?
Dis korrek.
And in paragraph 7, you say, I request for further police investigation and prosecution about the matter. The suspect is known to me as Julius Malema.
Dis korrek.
That's correct.
And you only identified him, the leader of the EFF, as you said, as the suspect in your statement. You agree?
Ek het vroeër in die statement gesê ook die persoon met die dreadlocks.
I also indicated previously in the statement the person with the dreadlocks.
But you didn't say there's another suspect with dreadlocks that I want persecuted or prosecuted. You agree with me?
Volgens die verklaring het ek gesê Julius Malema, maar dit is meneer Julius Malema en Dr. Ndlozi.
As per the statement I mentioned to Julius Malema, but it is Mr. Julius Malema as well as Dr. Ndlozi.
And then you'll see in paragraph 8, you said, I know and understand the content of the statement. I have no objection to taking the prescribed oath, and you took an oath. Is that correct?
That's correct.
That's correct.
Now, as my learned friend explained, and as you're well aware, the docket relating to this matter was lost. Is that correct?
Ek het so verneem.
That is what I got.
Despite the docket having been lost, fortunately you had a copy of your statement. That's why we have it today. Is that correct?
That's correct.
That's correct.
Right. So not only did you go to the police station and depose to a statement there that a police officer took down, you retained a copy of that statement and took it home. Is that correct?
That's correct.
That's correct.
So you could at any time of your own accord as an experienced police officer have gone back to rectify or correct this statement, but you didn't. You agree with me?
That's correct.
That's correct.
Right. But what happened was the docket was lost and you then had to hand in your statement again. Is that correct?
Ek het dieselfde statement
I took the same statement
wat ons gehad het.
that we had.
Yes. And you never changed it.
Niks verandering.
In fact,
Nothing was changed.
when you asked your attorneys to type up the statement, they typed this verbatim, word for word. Is that correct?
Wat gebeur het, afwarring,
What happened, Your Worship?
is dat ek gevra vir 'n meer duidelikheid oor die verklaring.
They asked me for more clarity over this statement
Wat ek afgelê het by Ritter en Spies.
that I had made at Hatteran's Peace.
That's that I went to make it written speech. Is that correct?
That I went to make at Hatteran's Peace.
Dis korrek.
But prior to that, sir, and I'll show you if you like, your attorneys typed up this statement and you signed it again on the 26th of March 2019 in Centurion. Do you agree with me?
Dis korrek.
That's correct.
So in other words, you had a statement, you knew it was flawed, you were in a state of shock, you had a copy with you, you never corrected it, you went back almost a year later, you handed in the very same statement now typed by your own attorney without correcting it. Is that correct?
Dis korrek.
That's correct.
Can you explain that?
Want dis die eerste verklaring wat ek afgelê het.
Die eerste verklaring.
Eerste verklaring.
Pardon me, Your Worship, the interpreter was just ascertaining. The first statement I made,
Ek het nooit 'n verklaring afgelê voor enige ander ondersoekbeampte nie.
I never, this was, pardon me, Your Worship, the wording was that this was the first statement I made. I had never previously or never made any other statement in front of a investigating officer.
But the important thing, sir, is that not only did you hand in a copy of your handwritten statement, when your attorney typed up your statement, you took the oath once again, saying this was the truth on the 26th of March 2019. Do you confirm that?
Nou, maar dit is dieselfde verklaring wat ek gedoen het. Ek
The
het
same statement that I made,
ek het niks om hom verander nie, want dit is 'n oorspronklike verklaring.
there's nothing that I can change because it is the original statement.
And you and your attorney of your own accord didn't deem it necessary to rectify the difficulty between vehicles being allowed in and people not being allowed in. Is that correct?
Nou, maar wat hulle wel gevra het is,
Your Worship, what they indeed asked is,
hulle wil 'n eensetting hê van voertuigpermitte.
they want an outline of the vehicle permits,
Persoonlike permitte
the personal permits,
en dan ook wie gesê dat meneer Malema nie mag ingaan nie.
and who had said that Mr. Malema should not or may not enter.
Your Worship, may I ask at this juncture that the program that I had referred to be accepted as Exhibit A? We don't have any, I think the video will be one, Your Worship, because it's a real evidence. The program of the funeral, Your Worship, I hadn't asked you to accept it as a...
I beg your pardon, Your Worship. My little friend corrects me. We need to also label the map that was referred to, because that came first in the evidence. I apologize that we hadn't made it an exhibit. So that.
No one has requested the court officially to receive anything as evidence as yet. So it is just lying.
I'm going to ask that Your Worship does it, so there's no confusion later on when it comes to labelling the exhibits.
Okay.
Right.
Should we start then the stage with regards to the two photographs which was
Yes.
in the dispatch statement?
Yes, Your Worship.
In agreement, Your Worship, that was the first, the map, Your Worship, that was handed in agreement.
Mr. Otis, then just for clarification's sake, these two photos has been not contested by the defense. The defense accept the documents, the pictures as well as the content of the said pictures.
Your Worship, there's a dispute as to, which I said I'll cross-examine on, but as for the aerial photographs that they depict that area, that's not in dispute, Your Worship.
Okay? With regards to both.
Yes, Your Worship.
Then one is in dispute for
Where the actual parking might have been, Your Worship, will be clarified in due course.
so the court must accept it as
Yes,
such
Your Worship.
on cross-examination. With regards then to the said pictures, the court will receive the picture which depicts the parking spaces on as exhibit 1. The one without depiction of the parking spaces will be exhibit 2. Mr. Otis, with regards to exhibit 2, the aerial
Yes, that's not in
picture, so
dispute.
this is not in dispute. Also, the content of this is not.
Yes, Your Worship.
The court will rule on exhibit 2. The court will receive exhibit 2. This is admissible as evidence as well before the court.
Yes, the
With
court
regards
will.
to exhibit 1, the court is withholding. Needs ruling with regards to the admissibility after cross-examination in this regard as well to see with regards to the admissibility. Then with regards to
Then came the video, Your Worship.
the video, no objection with regard to the sound of the video. Can I just get clarity because the video was also stopped at a certain stage? It is still picture now. Is there more content on this video or not? Or should only the portions which the court has seen be taken as evidence, or alternatively, I am not sure whether there is more on this video.
Your Worship, there is more. As Your Worship says, we stopped it at a particular point. Your Worship, in my preparation, I established that the Channel 11 that we have there begins on the 14th of April 2018, it's a Saturday, at 15:45.24 the seconds, and it's identified as gate camera. Your Worship will see that when it starts, it's at the foot, as we see it now,
Yes,
Your Worship.
correct.
And I have it continuing, Your Worship, beyond what we have that goes to 15:57 as I have it, Your Worship. It's just a further 2 odd minutes to that. What we say in that regard, Your Worship, is that is an accurate reflection of what happened there, but it obviously doesn't capture that which happened in other places before, and what happened before this and after that. So this doesn't, with respect, shed any light on where the motorcycles were or the convoy, but for what happened at that point at the gate camera, it's an accurate reflection for that limited time. Your
There
Worship.
is no objection. The court may receive the SIR.
Yes, Your Worship.
Then the court will receive is the video currently available for marking?
We have a copy, Your Worship. I can even hand mine up, Your Worship.
No, this time I will return it after the proceedings,
This is
but
a-
then for record purposes, can I present the envelope of the video? It is a CD.
It is a flash, Your Worship.
Is it on a
So,
flash?
yes, the flash is currently in Your Worship, so
Yeah, can I present
I can give the envelope.
Thank you.
Your Worship, I have a flash if Your Worship wants it. It's given to us
No,
by
I won't get that.
as we've downloaded it. As Your Worship pleases.
The court will also rule on exhibit 3 that it is admissible as evidence before the court.
Yes, Your Worship.
Thank you. Then I believe it was on the
Program,
program for memorial service.
which is a document,
In agreement.
the States Conference.
As I said before, Your Worship, I did not have insight as to everything, Your Worship, reading what is the content of this, Your Worship. I was only made aware of it while my colleague was cross-examining the witness, Your Worship. I still have to peruse, Your Worship, the content thereof, Your Worship.
Court will mark the special official funeral service for Julius Malema. This is Exhibit A, and it is allowed provisionally. The court will make a ruling. As soon as the state is giving clarity, the court will then allow the state to exhaust
Then we have, Your Worship, I would request that the copy, that is the best evidence, that it's not in dispute as I understand it, the copy of this witness's statement that was handed up to Your Worship, the handwritten copy be accepted as B, Your Worship. That is the document that is dated the 4th of April 2018 and is signed by the witness. It's a handwritten one that is identified and marked with the CIS reference in the front page. I would ask that that be accepted as B. Yes, Your Worship. Yes, Your Worship, I have good copies. May I inquire if this one is better?
Bearing all the details.
Thank you, Worship. And then
For clarification purposes, the state has no objection concerning this document. This statement of the witness is now is in the context of the document.
Did Your Worship please support?
Court will then receive Exhibit C by consent of the parties. Then the court will just rephrase. The court will mark the said exhibit as Exhibit B, which is a statement of the witness. In the court ruled that it is admissible as evidence before the court. The court has received it by way of consent. With regards to Exhibit 1, 2, 3, the court has received all these exhibits as well as Exhibit A and Exhibit B by consent of the parties, only with the exception of Exhibit A for the state to confirm. All the other documents is admissible as evidence before the court.
And there's one further document, Your Worship. That's the typewritten version of the witness's statement that I referred to, that is signed on the 26th of March 2019. That may be shown to him to identify, and if I may hand it up to him.
Page 1, let me just see, Your Worship.
Thank you, Mr. Honor.
Your Worship, there's one other, if the witness can just identify, I refer to it. Colonel, would you confirm that this is your inspector operating statement, that there is your signature, your oath, and it's a 3-page typed document dated the 26th of March, 2019.
Just before we do proceed, the party wants to take their lunch.
Please.
Thank you,
Yes. Thank
I
you.
am in the names of the parties.
Thank you, Worship.
Please support, Your Worship. We are going to take lunch, Your Worship.
So now, just before we adjourn, with regards to the document which was given to the witness, we will do what the document is. After lunch, the court will also indicate that we have marked exhibit A and exhibit B, so if the parties intend that their document also needs to form part of the record, the court will also then ask for the marking of the document as well in the exhibit C.
Yes.
There's no objection, it goes through that in proceedings, so the court will not have to mark all these pages with regards to the exhibit. If there is consent by the parties in this regard.
Please support, Your